Thank you everyone. And I'm very delighted to welcome you to this webinar. This is 130th webinar that we are doing. We've been doing this for the last 4 years. I'll come back to that. And the name of the webinar today is very interesting. It's called Development Challenges of Nagpur City. And then it says, what is to be done to ensure an economically strong, livable, inclusive, and resilient city? So those four objectives that one is talking about, which is economically strong, livable, inclusive, and resilient, these are the expectations of everyone. Cities are engines of growth, and therefore we want Nagpur to generate economic growth. Cities must be livable for everyone. You can't really expect cities just generating growth, just generating economic growth, and not. They must be livable for everyone. The word inclusive means it is for everyone, for the rich and for the poor, for the disabled, for transgender, for everyone. City must be equal. City must provide people good opportunity to live well, work well, earn well. And the city must be resilient is a new thing that is being added because cities are under threat of all kinds. One of the most difficult threat we are talking about is the climate change. And therefore, cities' infrastructure, cities' economy, cities' planning must take care of. Now, very fact that I coined this title for this meeting, I had two expectations. Expectation number one, that we will analyze what the city is like, what city is today, and we also will prescribe what is needed to be done, what must change in order for this city to become what we just described, those four: economically strong, livable, resilient, and inclusive in the next 25 years. So we are looking at both the analysis of what it is and also what should be done. Prescription is more important. We're looking for answers, we're looking for solutions, not only questions and analysis and description of problems. So that is the expectation today. I must admit that organizing this particular webinar in Nagpur has been very interesting. And the reason it's been very interesting is this, that out of 10 people, including the moderator who is there, I didn't know them except for maybe I think one or two people. I didn't know anyone. And that this particular group has emerged from consultation with the community, with the local people. And therefore, I'm extremely happy that today's webinar, today's panelists are those who are from city, those have been selected by the citizens themselves. It's not my choice, it's a choice of yours. So I'm very delighted. I've told you that I'm not going to take a lot of time, which I usually take 10, 15 minutes talking about this. Today, I want to finish in a few minutes. But I wanted to tell you briefly that we've been doing this webinar series for the last 4 years. This is 130th webinar. I must also tell you something about two major series of webinars which are taking place in the next 2, 3 months' time. One is a six webinar series on Orissa's slum upgrading program. Now, Orissa's slum upgrading program is so good, not only for this country, for the whole world, that we title of the webinar series is Slums Are Solvable. First time, at least in my career of 70, 55 years, I'm saying slums are solvable because that is what is happening in Orissa. And we would very much like you people to tune in and listen to the discussion that takes place in 6 webinars. And this subject is so important that we have united UN Habitat as one of the co-hosts of the webinar series. You know, UN Habitat is in charge of habitat issues in the world. And similarly, we also have Cities Alliance, which is responsible for problems of slums across the world. Cities Alliance also is a partner in hosting that series. So that's one. The other set of series, the other series we are starting next month the 5 event webinar series. It's on climate change. And our partners for that are CityNet. CityNet is an association of Asian cities. It has 150 members and active in last 30 years. So CityNet is a partner. CANSA, that is Climate Action Network South Asia, is our partner. And then we are doing series on cities of Maharashtra, which is going on, and yours is a part of that. And then we have cities of Orissa, cities of Tamil Nadu, and cities of West Bengal. So we are almost ready for something like 25 webinars in the next 6 months' time. And I very much want you to kind of come and participate. Let me tell you just 1 minute last thing. Why are we doing this webinars? What is the purpose? Why are we doing this for the last 4 years? And I must tell you, there is a very important purpose behind this webinar series. Is our understanding that India's urban challenge is very daunting, very difficult, very complex. And we are not on track in terms of addressing the challenge. And that we are not on the track reflects in the quality of cities we have. Our cities are highly problematic. And we believe very strongly the government is trying to do many things, but it's very clear that government alone cannot do this. And on the other hand, there are a large number of people and organizations and institutions outside the government system who have the skills and the ability and willingness to participate in finding good solutions for India's urban challenge. So this particular webinar series is devoted to taking India's urban challenge to communities, to people who want to know and understand and participate. We believe that in order to respond to India's urban challenge properly, we require a societal partnership, government and society as partners to deal with the whole issue of India's urban challenge. And we believe next 25 years are very critical. If we don't manage this well, we would have very heavy consequences. So that is why this series is going on for the last 4 years. And I hope to continue at least for next 3 years. Uh, by that time, we would have done probably 250 webinars on one subject. It's called Rethinking City. The reason we're talking about rethinking that current solutions, current ways of doing things, current approaches, current governance is not working well enough. We require new solutions, and therefore we could rethink. So, with this introductory statement, which I didn't want to make, but I was said I should not miss out on this, I request Sanjay Pathak Saab to conduct the webinar. It is time is all yours. I'm going to come back only at the end to thank you for being in this part. Otherwise, audience and panel is yours. Kindly conduct the way you like to conduct. Thank you very much. Sanjay Saab.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for giving me opportunity to connect with the Nagpur professionally again. Chitrakshi, can you share the slide? Yeah. Go to the. I will give just brief. Actually, I did my schooling in architecture from the Nagpur, and then after that, I worked at the Delhi Development Authority for about 36 years. After doing the post-graduation from the SPA Delhi, and after retirement, I came back to my home state of Maharashtra, Pune, which is a Vidyache Mahurkar, and I thought that I could do the teaching. I could continue teaching in the Pune. So I am associated with the prestigious University of Nagpur University and the MIT ADT University as a professor of practice. I have visited officially also, personally also, a number of countries, and I have about 45 years experience of the in the urban planning. Thank you. Now we'll start with the first speaker, Sri Shyam Pandharipande ji. Briefly, he is a veteran journalist, educator, and environmentalist, activist with over 30 years of experience in media, having marked. I think I have to. This I have problem with the slide. Just a minute. Yeah. Having worked with the leading publications like Nagpur Times, the Hitwada, Indian Express, Lokmat Times, and the Indo-Asian News Services. An academic by training, he holds a BSc in Biology and Chemistry and an MA in English Literature. He has played a key role in urban environmental advocacy, co-funding EcoCity Foundation and the Nag River Basin Eco Development Project. Currently, he serves as the president of the Rotary Club in Nagpur and is a founding member of the civil society group Peace, contributing his commitment to civic and environmental causes. I request Sri Shyam Pandharipande ji to express your association with Nagpur and his views on this topic. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Kirti Bhai, and thank you, Pathak sir. See, let me
Hitachi, remove the slide now.
let me at the outset say that when we discussed among ourselves the idea of participating in this by becoming panelists, the framework of everyone else, or so I thought, the framework of everyone else appeared to me to be well demarcated, except for mine, except for my framework. But I said I would somehow talk on whatever is close to my heart and whatever I have learned in so many years of city life as an activist. When I saw the list today morning, my name in the list appeared just next to Pathak sir's name, that is first among the panelists here. So I didn't know why my name was put on top. I can only guess that it is because I appeared to be, and from my biodata it is clear, the senior most by age. Anyway, so I am senior most by age. So I took liberties, and as Prachi said before the start of the seminar, I did some smart work. I decided that I will give an overview of the city's scenario rather than talking on any specific point, which others will do as per their framework. And then I wrote out a note, and I propose to read that note so that I will be able to finish it in the given time. I have I have titled my say as an overview by Shyam Pandharipande. Given that the Habitat Forum expects the panelists of its webinar in Nagpur to delineate their vision of the various interconnected aspects of development of the second capital of Maharashtra in the next 25 years, one has to start with the situation obtaining today, while also at the same time looking back on how it has come to this stage through the last 25 years. This is obviously because urban development is always work in progress. I'm sure the thoughtfully picked panelists will do that with precision. As per the far from ideal model of development in vogue, when I say model of development, I mean model of development of cities. As per the far from ideal model of development in vogue, while citizens in all walks of public life are stakeholders in a city's development, the juggernaut of infrastructural development is to be stewarded by the local self-government with the support of the state and the central government. The people's representatives, namely the councillors, MLAs, and MPs, are supposed to take people along while getting the local self-government authorities to carry out the development as handed down by higher echelons of the framers of development. In the absence of civic enlightenment, public awareness about their sovereignty, and strong, vibrant, assertive civil society collectives, the people's representatives at all levels take the people for granted and treat them as supplicant voters stretching out their arms, very rarely showing their clenched fists for the repair of a locality road here or there, laying of a water pipeline, or building of a Samaj Mandir. Thus, the development is anything but people driven. I hope the Habitat Forum is an initiative meant to change this situation by decreeing upon the so-called people's representatives and authorities, who should in fact be the public servants, the development of truly livable, inclusive, resilient, and economically strong cities. The city of Nagpur, which is at the heart of India and thus from whose midst starts the measurement of the country's length and breadth, the 0 mile, got its municipal corporation in the year 1951, but in fact its earlier development authority, namely the Nagpur Improvement Trust, way back in 1937. The NIT, regrettably in a clumsy manner, developed some residential layouts, while NMC looked after civil amenities like roads, street lighting, water supply, and gardens. It also runs schools. The dual development authorities created jurisdictional confusion rather than carrying out well demarcated aspects of development, and thus started a talk several years back of winding up the NIT, which remains a talk till this day. Meanwhile, a road development authority, Nagpur Metro Regional Development Authority, NMRDA, on the lines of the state level MMRDA, has been created. The city, whose economic development mainstay has thus far mainly been its trading and MSME business classes as well as service sector rather than industry will do well by developing green agri-based industry and manufacturing sector. My respected economist friend and co-panelist Vice Chancellor Dr. Vinayak Deshpande will elucidate the aspects of economic challenges in the next 25 years. The city has been developing small part in the right way, but largely in the wrong way. Here, I look up to a far more knowledgeable architect and urban design specialist, Pradyumna Sahasrabhojanee, for elaboration when he speaks. Let me say, though, that the city is developing in the right way to a small extent, as the multiple development authorities do some work after all. I will, as is my wont, also steal some thunder from Pradyumna by quoting him that geographically Nagpur is like a turtle back, elevated in the middle and tapering down on all sides. Not being waterlogged or landlocked, the city has good scope for peripheral expansion and as such can accommodate stress migrants from its immediately surrounding villages. Here, let me say something which I missed out in the write-up. When we were discussing among ourselves about a fortnight back or 10 days back, the note that you had sent earlier spoke about the exponential population growth projections in cities in the next 25 years. And you have said in that note that this increasing population in the cities would be a great challenge. Now, my opinion, my observation and understanding, which is shared by some panelists here, is that the exponential growth in the population of cities like Nagpur is not by increasing birth rate, but by migration of people from rural areas in the surrounding to the city. So every day, every month, people from the surrounding villages in the city come to Nagpur, come to the city because they don't have livelihood means in the city, in their villages. So, as far as the challenge of population growth of cities, in particular of Nagpur, is concerned, the source of this challenge, the source of this problem lies in the rural areas, lies in the villages. I am of the view that if the villages are developed comprehensively, made more livable, where people are able to eke out their living, earn enough for a dignified living out of agriculture and agro-based industries, etc., they won't require to migrate to the cities. And the mitigation, if not complete stoppage of migration of people from the rural areas to the cities, will to a great extent relieve the pressure on the cities. So I come back to the note. Nagpur is quite livable because of its agreeable climate, ample though lopsided green cover, and open spaces. Here I look up to co-panelist Prachi Mahurkar either for bearing me out or for correcting me. Inclusive to a certain extent, whether small or large, I would trust panelist Vilas Bhongade to say. But as for myself, I will say that the slum dwellers here do find livelihood though undeniably meager as domestic help, casual labor, and sundry vending. Of course, the living conditions in the slums leave a lot to be desired. The Nag River, running a length of 17 kilometers right through the city, from which it derives its name, and the remaining 9 or 10 lakes, though in a dying state, still do account for Nagpur's satisfactory groundwater regime. What has been mainly ailing the city is the municipal corporation's utter neglect of its duties towards the upkeep of civil amenities, exacerbated by the absence of elective councillors for the last 3 odd years. There have been no elections after the term and tenure of the uh, municipal corporators, councillors expired 3 days back, 3 years back. So, utter neglect of their responsibilities by the municipal authority. Yet, diligent civil society activists like Anasuya Kale Chhabrani and her vigilant associates are consistently raising voice and drawing the authorities' attention towards the citizens' problems in the absence of, and in fact, better than the corporators whose term, whose term expired 3 years ago. Last but not the least, the phenomenal increase in the vehicle population of the 4 million strong Nagpur is extremely menacing and way beyond its carrying capacity. An ample public transport system is the answer if the daunting challenge of air pollution is to be squarely met. If that doesn't happen, the city will simply be choked, making breathing impossible. I would add another very small point which is missing from my note. These last some years have seen a phenomenal growth in the laying of cement roads all through the cities, not the main roads, but even the locality roads. So much so that previous roads in very good condition were dug up. They were tar roads in good conditions. They were dug up for laying of cement roads. This has created problems. If I am not wrong, the road International Road Congress, the Indian Road Congress have said several times that cement roads should not be constructed in the cities because that increases the temperature of the city. If I am wrong, the other knowledgeable panelists will correct me. Now, this is how the authorities, whether they are the MLAs or the MPs or the civic authorities or the state government and central government authorities who oversee and support the development of cities, they undertake development projects and they carry out what they think is real development in a very ham-handed manner without asking people, without taking people into consideration, without taking the advantage or the advice of learned people in the city's public life, architects, engineers, and social workers, educators, etc. They do things the way they want. There should be an institutional arrangement for hearing the people and including them in the process of development planning and its execution. That is how the development challenges in the next 25 years would be properly addressed. the citizens must be the stakeholders in the sense that they must be allowed to participate in the development planning and its execution. There should be an institutional arrangement for that. Thank you.
पाठक साहब आपका म्यूट पर है.
Sir, you are on mute.
Okay, I'm audible now.
Yes.
Our next speaker is architect Pradyumna Sahasrabhojanee. He is an experienced architect and urban designer with over years of practice. He has been a strong advocate of eco-sensitive planning, natural resource conservation, and heritage preservation. He co-founded a BD Sahasrabhojanee and Associates and integrated design concepts, handling a wide range of architectural, urban design, and infrastructure projects. As an environmentalist and conservationist, he has coordinated the Nag River Regeneration Plan. He has also worked exclusively on urban biodiversity and the decentralized sewage treatment system for river revival. He served as the president of the Nagpur Mountaineering Training Youth for 15 years. He has been involved with multiple professional and civic bodies such as the Indian Institute of Architects, Nagpur Heritage Conservation Committee, Vidarbha Heritage Committee. I will request him to give you your views on this topic. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pathak sahab. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're audible.
Yeah. See, you have already noted down the things which I have done regarding the city, particularly the Nag River Eco Basin Development Project, which we did for the myself and Shyam. We did it for the Nagpur Municipal Corporation at the request of Nagpur Municipal Corporation. Yeah. Yeah. And the other project was for the MOEF, the Ministry of Environment and Forest. That was for studying urban biodiversity with Nagpur as a model. So, because in that project, several other models were chosen, like forests and so many other biomes and habitats. But the urban model was Nagpur, and I was the coordinator of that. The third thing which was written there was regarding the heritage conservation work that I did. And actually, for conserving heritage, natural as well as managed, because natural heritage was for the first time included in the heritage list of any city, that was in Nagpur. And I was partly instrumental in that. So I did the listing for that committee at that time, and we framed the regulations based on the Mumbai regulations, which were already there. So, and we have been campaigning for saving the water bodies. There are only about 10 water bodies in Nagpur, and we have not been able to. Sadly, we have lost almost half of them. Not the numbers, but each one of the water bodies already almost encroached by half, most of them. So even such a small number of water bodies, because other cities have hundreds of them, like Hyderabad and Bangalore and Mumbai, and but Nagpur just 10, and we couldn't save them. And so basically, we are looking at, or we are talking about economically strong, livable, inclusive, and resilient society, city, and all that. And all the projects that I have done were essentially, I feel, were in that direction. I have also worked with the slum people. We wanted to rejuvenate some of the slums and all that. That also we did through the Indian Institute of Architects. So it was all for that purpose. Basically, the purpose was something that the thing is going on for maybe 3 decades or more. I've been doing this. But I have to say that despite best of my efforts, and I'm not alone in this, all of the people sitting here, I have worked with all of them for most of the time. So we are a team actually. So I'm just representing a team, and each one of us is actually doing that. So, but our efforts have not borne fruit. In fact, things are going from bad to worse. So we can speak about uh, good things happening and all that, but will they really happen? Because for years together, my experience is a little different. So I want to analyze first as to why we have not succeeded so far in any way, because it was the authorities also with which we tried to work. It was not as though we were always fighting with them or anything like that. So what I have come to conclude, and of course, solutions also we offered. It's not that we did not have solutions regarding sewage treatment or Nag River rejuvenation or enhancing the biodiversity or conserving heritage or improving slums. We had very detailed solutions for everything and very workable, if I may say so myself. But nothing happened. Why did it not happen? Because I had to say with mm, regrettably that there are negative forces in the city which are more powerful than those who want to do good. So you may talk about doing good, but really there are people, those who are, there are vested interests, and those vested interests overpower everything else. And uh, anything good suggested, we think about doing good things. We people like us, but they don't happen. We may talk about it. We may hold webinars. We may do many things. And from this webinar also, we are going to form a new kind of initiative and form a subcommittee of citizens to take forward our views. But because we are devoted to this, we'll do it. But will that really lead us to somewhere? We have to analyze that. Why are things happening in the way that they are? So even though we may want very economical, strong, livable, inclusive, resilient cities, etc., but the cities, in fact, Indian cities and Nagpur included, if you want to describe them when compared with some other cities in the world, you would have to describe them as ugly. You would have to describe them as overcrowded, chaotic, polluted. Each one of our cities is polluted, and in most parts, of course, because in each city we have pockets where the so-called masters of our societies live. Those who had taken up the position of our previous masters, the new masters, those areas are really in good shape. So that happens even today. But therefore, the cities are also symbols of inequity. There is no equality. And within the inequity, there are, of course, layers. There are hierarchies. And most of our cities, including Nagpur, are a serious burden on the environment within the city itself, and with the environment all around in the surrounding region, which we actually make anemic. We take things from it, water, all resources, all food, all vegetables, all milk, everything is just drawn to the city, making the entire region anemic. And nothing is done regarding all these problems. We never give back anything except pollution to the surrounding area through our rivers and all that. So that is my concern. And so when we want to talk about livability and things like that, I feel that we'll have to take upon these negative forces and we have to do something about them. We cannot just say, no, no, things will go on and then they will improve. They will not, they will go from bad to worse. Why? The main reason is that deliberately it has been decided by the authorities that be that this phenomenon of urbanization, uncontrolled urbanization, is a very, very new phenomenon for the entire human society. There were no cities like this. in the last century. I mean, in the 20th century. The cities have, the kind of cities that we have are a new thing, and we should have looked at it as a new thing which is emerging. But we never looked at it like that. We just thought that एक गांव से शहर बन जाता है, शहर से महानगर बनता है, महानगर से और कुछ बन जाता है, and then we never changed our method of looking at it. We just and then there was no vision. At least when the British were here in Nagpur, I'm talking about. I don't love the British, but at least I know that their methods were at least somewhat logical, and they had some vision. In Nagpur, whenever they established this, only the western part, of course, and their own civil lines area, which was well demarcated, and which I call the new masters enclave now. So, and there's some of the colonies which they developed, there was some vision behind that. But after that, there is just random layout making, just coloring it yellow. In the initial development plan, there was a green belt. Then it was allowed to be made into layouts by the authorities, knowing that it is happening, because there were not one, two, there were 572 layouts, then 1900 layouts, then 3000 layouts, and so many layouts. And the authorities deliberately did not do anything. And they allowed things to go chaotic, go ad hoc. They worked on, because that benefited the people, these negative forces which are in charge of the city. They are the ones who are the culprits in this. They are clearly the ones, and unless they change their ways or those people are overcome, things will not change. That is my basic thing. Second, see, most of the time, who is blamed or what is blamed for what is happening in the cities? Overpopulation, poverty, migration, and things like that. But all these, unlike what Shyam said, are, I feel, a part of the overall policy of driving out people from lands. There is a policy to drive out people in rural areas as well as in urban areas. So I will discuss the urban areas later on, but in the rural areas, when people cannot live, when people have to commit suicide, or when people, it's impossible to actually live on the basis of agriculture. If you go into the villages, you will know. I have gone and seen. We have studied, we have tried to do something about them. We thought that it's impossible. And therefore, people had to migrate to the cities. And what happens in the cities? Cities, there is no place for poor people. There is no place for poor people. That is the biggest problem of the cities. And although so much migration is taking place, a large population, at least 40–50% of our population, stays in slums. And our authorities are not ashamed about this. No arrangement is made for them. Two things actually, for which no arrangement is made. The weakest thing in the hierarchy, poor people, and after that the nature. No place for nature in the cities. No place for poor people in the cities. That is what all it turns on. I'm not criticizing town planners. One of our town planners is actually sitting here and presiding over this as a moderator. But I have seen town planners do a very thorough job of what they have to do. I have seen how because they have to put up, prepare reports and development plans and things like that. But unfortunately, since these negative forces do not want that something good should come from this, they always make somebody else as the boss of the department, not the town planner. The town planner can say or prepare reports like he may do, but these other people, who include, of course, politicians and higher officials and so many other people, they ensure that all those development plans, etc., are just not followed at all or followed in breach. That is the problem. And why are they doing this? The government, it is very clear, because I will give you the example also. The government has decided that this overcrowding, this chaos, this adolescence is a good thing for them. It makes them rich. It makes them powerful. They can harass the people. They can make money out of them. They can look at the urban land, which is of course scarce because there are more people and land is not managed properly. So governments benefit from this, or this I would say the negative forces benefit from this, of which government only one aspect. But see what has happened in the recent times, since they had decided that urban lands are the gold mines or golden goose that lays the eggs, or gold mines from which they can extract as much as possible, as quickly as possible. They have brought policies to do this exploitation. One of the policies in urban areas through town planning measures is the UDCPR, which they have introduced in the year 2020. In 2020, they introduced UDCPR. Earlier, they used to tell us that one is the maximum FSI that you should utilize on compared to the area of land which you have. You can only build that much, because why? Because otherwise it will put burden on the infrastructure and there will be overcrowding and the light and ventilation, hygiene, things like that. But all this talk or all these regulations had no basis whatsoever, no basis, and that is proved by the fact that now suddenly in 2020, what they have proposed is that all the plots will have more than 3 FSI. So 3.2, 3.6, 4, this is the kind of FSI which all the plots will have. Why? And what purpose does this serve? All the buildings will become now taller, and uh, and together with this, what they have done is, for getting this FSI, they have not just given this FSI. They have not said that you will get 3.2, you will get 3.6. They have said that you will get 1.1 now, 1.1, but you can buy by paying premiums and buying TDR and things like that. So that's the way money is made. So you can imagine that twice the amount of land which you have, you can buy back, but of course by paying a very, very hefty sum to the government. And that hefty sum ensures that none of the plots can be developed by small people. Any plot holder could actually develop his own plot earlier to 2020, because if it was a 1 FSI or whatever, he would pay the sanctioning fees. I will give you an example. I was doing the hospital for the Matru Seva Sangh, actually of which Kanchan Gadkari ji is the president. In 2008, we got sanctioned for 4 stories by paying rupees 5 lakh. And when the rules changed, and rules also prescribed that you can now build double. Now we can construct 4 more stories. We had known earlier also that they are going to change the rule. So we had that provision made in the foundations. So we raised that building to 8 floors subsequently, which was the plan from earlier time also. But in the next phase, when we got the sanction, we had to shell out 2.5 crore against 5 lakh earlier. So that is the thing which the government is doing. So government is trying to take money out of the urban lands. And what this means is that small players are out. No owner can build his own house or the construction. No small builder should be there. Everything should go to the bigger players, and eventually, as per the national policy, everything should go to the big corporates. That is the direction in which we are going. And when we give so much importance to the land value and make so much extraction out of it, obviously you give nothing to the poor people, because it's so costly, it is so valuable, and nothing for the nature also. The poor people then encroach and attack the nature. They will go into the they will go into the uh, they will go and encroach upon the catchments of the water bodies or the river banks or things like that. That is how the nature is also encroached upon, and of course, the mm, people who are close to the government also encroach upon the catchments and things like that. That has happened. So uh, we may be talking in terms of uh, making things better, but they are actually going in the opposite direction. Regarding the heritage conservation, also we thought once we have these regulations, things will be better. But that did not happen because the authority then established a committee which would take care that very irregular things will be allowed in the name of heritage uh, by the heritage committee, and heritage committee being the authority, its wrongdoings will be accepted by the courts. So that is how even heritage was obliterated and destroyed by these forces. So and all in the name of say vikas, development. That is the problem. See, in our country, the solution was never like this. The solution was when Vyashti, Samashti, Srushti, Parameshti, that is all the aspects connected to any personality or any society, they should, any work that you do, anything that you do, should benefit all of this together. It's not that only just one aspect should take precedence over the other. So just infrastructure development will, I'm just finishing in a couple of minutes. So just the infrastructural development, which is termed as the Vikas now, and most of it is almost visionless because it's huge. It is, I know it's very impressive and all that, but does it really serve the purpose? Does it really serve the purpose of the people, poorer people, the common people? It serves the purpose of a society which is a different society than the common people. That is the vikas that is happening today. So it's not that we don't have any solutions. Shyam also said that people should be taken into confidence while planning, and there should be a structure for that. In fact, there was a constitutional amendment. 73rd and 74th constitutional amendment is there to give power to the people while planning, through planning. But the government, which is so dishonest, therefore it never applied the provisions of this constitutional amendment into practice, never brought it into practice. So Shyam, uh, these provisions are there, but I don't know whether they will apply it or not. So the solutions are there. I have personally carried out certain research and campaign work to show the solutions. And our ethos as Indians know what the solutions are, what Vikas should mean. The 70th or 74th Amendment is there. These are all part of the solutions. But do we want to look at them? That is the real problem. Thank you.
Pathak Saab, I think just if
Thank
I
you.
could, if I could take one half a minute.
Yeah,
Uh, uh, it's already 1 hour. We finished 7 o'clock now, and we've just covered two people, and we have nine, so seven more.
sure.
And
No, yeah.
therefore, we'll have to kind of control time. Otherwise, we will be in a very serious emergency. I'm not saying we can't really spill over another 15, 10 minutes, but at this rate, we'll not be able to. It will take 3.5 hours. So please see that we are in time.
Okay. I will request Professor Vinayak to uh, give his views. Before that, just I will introduce him briefly. Professor Deshpande is the Vice Chancellor of the GH
Oh,
Rasoni University, Amravati, with over 30 years of teaching and academic leadership experience. He previously served as acting Vice Chancellor, Pro Vice Chancellor, and the Director of the Department of the Business Management at Rashtra Center Tukaruji Maharaj, Nagpur University. He holds a degree in economics, commerce, management, and a PhD, and he supervised 33 PhD scholars. His international exposure includes academic engagements in the Netherlands, Singapore, Australia, and New Zealand. Now, I will request him to give his views on this
Thank
topic.
you, Sanjay ji Pathak, Honorable President, Habitat Forum, Kirti Shah ji, Professor Sanjay Pathak, Shyam Pandharipande ji, Shri Pradyumna Sahasrabhojanee, and all my co-panelists. Friends, when we talk about development challenges of Nagpur, basically I feel that cities are about people and must enable people to respond to shocks, floods, and of course heat wave. So much depends on how we shape our cities, and I feel not just environmental impacts but our social well-being, our economic vitality, our sense of community and connectedness also. So fundamentally, the way we shape cities is a manifestation of the kind of humanity we bring to bear. So I feel that the first point which needs to be considered, that stop thinking about rural urban divide if at all we want to have the inclusive city by 2050. So we have to stop thinking about rural urban divide, and normally it is believed that higher per capita income is associated with higher urbanization, and therefore survival and rejuvenation of the rural area is also highly dependent on what kind of urbanization we have. So basically, when we talk about urban strategy, then links village to small town to middle town, and large town to metropolitan to mega cities. And cities and towns in India, they are visibly deficient, as rightly pointed out by earlier speakers, in terms of the quality of services they provide. So it's a pathetic public service delivery. So it is not just about creating urban infrastructure system of governance which actually allows to improve the service delivery, and governance mechanism should be in place basically to generate growth. And municipalities, they should be made accountable to deliver these services. Let me tell you, 31 point some 2% of India's population lives in urban areas, and in country like India, 53 cities have population over 1 million. So population of Nagpur city now is about 3 million 30 lakhs, and in 1980 population was just 1 million. So almost 3% of India's urban population, it resides in Nagpur, and therefore the challenges and the problems which we are facing, like flooding and heating, so these are the two biggest problems Nagpurians are facing. Water that should have reached the ground aquifers is not reaching because of built up expansion. And question arises, are we encroaching on our flood plains? So there are reclamation of rivers, and climate is giving very strong signals. So our infrastructure, drainage systems, they are not well equipped to face all these kinds of problems, and therefore increasing concretization, as pointed out by Shamji, leading to loss of vegetation and water bodies also. So Indian cities in general, I would say, are becoming unlivable. So this is a price we are paying for urbanization, and urbanization is a part of every developing countries. 60% cities across the world, they contribute global GDP, and people, they have a right to migrate. So urbanization is a natural phenomena. So we cannot blame that too much urbanization is creating problems for the cities. So 31% of total population, it is urban population, and therefore we have smart city mission which was launched in 2015 to enhance infrastructure, quality of life, and sustainability in cities. So this SCM operates It was a pilot program with a test, learn, scale approach. That is what is called as TLS approach, where methodology was urban interventions are first piloted on a small scale, then evaluated, refined based on the results of learning, and finally implemented on a large scale if successful. So this was the process for smart city. But a smart city is an urban area where technology and data collection help to improve the quality of life as well as sustainability and efficiency of city operations. So, smart city unfortunately lacks a clear definition in India, and that is leading to varied kind of interpretations, and therefore smart city always is considered in terms of technological development and use of modern technology. Nagpur, being the part of Vidarbha, is set to become the powerhouse of the whole state, that is Maharashtra. However, this boom of power projects, it must translate into tangible gains for the region, but that is not happening. So what I suggest, that we must levy a Vidarbha or Nagpur development cess on all the power that is transmitted to region outside Vidarbha, outside Nagpur, where in Maharashtra or in other states, and use that money exclusively to fund the region's development. This is my humble suggestion in order to generate sources of income. And with the introduction of GST, Nagpur and the area around will once again become the natural choice for logistic hub, because it's the center of India, provided we have the necessary infrastructure in place to meet the needs of present and future supply chain management. So give the status of industry to logistic service provisions and encourage investments with a package of scheme of incentives similar to industries. So like we have investment in logistics, and therefore I feel that this logistics sector that should be considered at par with industries, then only, as Samji pointed out in the beginning, the trading center of Nagpur would be able to develop. So, with declaration of Nagpur as the gateway city to Tiger country, Central India tourism sector is bound to grow in a big way. So, government should form an independent authority, and I always feel the way Maharashtra tourism development is popularizing the various kind of schemes, various picnic spots. What I always feel, that we must have Vidarbha Tourism Development Corporation separately, VTDC, with mandate to develop and market tourism in this region, and that is how we ourselves can take care of the issues raised by my earlier speakers. So centralized decision making is the roadblock in the development of industries in Nagpur, and decision making process that itself needs to be decentralized, and government should amend with immediate effect the present industrial policy and provide the incentives on the basis of distance from Mumbai. The more the distance of the industrial area, more should be the incentives. That is not happening, and therefore Nagpur is taking care of forest area and other necessary aspects. But unfortunately, the way we want employment generation, as Sanjay Pathakji was pointing in the beginning, I won't go in those detailed statistics, but basically employment is not generating to the extent required, particularly for the youngsters, due to lack of industrialization. Our major focus is on industry and service sector. Slowly it is growing, and therefore we need to have a regional planning approach. Independent machinery like city development authority, district development authority, it should be established for implementing plans of the district, and this authority should be provided with adequate powers of administration and technical sanctions also for taking disciplinary action. So innovation is happening without equity lens, because we have to talk about equity also. And where is the infrastructure for walking and cycling? I would point out that at present we don't have any specific infrastructure for walkers and for cyclists, And let me tell you, more than 50% of citizens walk to work, they go to school. Where is infrastructure? So if we are spending rupees 100 on ceiling, flyovers, underpasses, we are not spending even rupees 2 on infrastructure for walking. And I think in order to have the equity as far as the infrastructure facility is concerned, this aspect needs to be considered. So development has to be citizen centric. Are we listening to citizens' voice? So job of government is to regulate creativity of architects, developers. They have vision, drive, and government itself should become model developer. And therefore, they need to have connection of citizens with municipalities, and that part is well taken care of by Shyamji and Sahasrabhojanee. So citizens governance is important and citizens participation is important, and municipalities mainly rely on government grants and loans. This is the present condition, and therefore central and state governments fund 75% of city infrastructure. Local bodies just contribute 15%. So we have to think about how we can develop the sources of revenue for the local bodies. And city revenue autonomy dropped from 51% to less than 40%, increasing reliance on higher government, that is state or center. And therefore I feel cities struggling financially, relying on insufficient property tax revenue due to rate hike sensitivities. Higher the rates, lower become the collection, and therefore grants are linked to property tax growth to boost tax collection as per the 15th Finance Commission. And therefore elected local bodies in Maharashtra, I think they should try to find out how they can increase the sources of revenue. But unfortunately, as pointed out earlier, over 3 years, due to pending elections, the municipalities are functioning without elected representatives. So these municipal corporations, councils, Nagpur panchayats, they must have some plan along with the citizen. So in order to plan for balanced and integrated development of the whole city and to control the growth of Nagpur, potential cities and towns should be developed to their optimum capacity. And then only there should be minimum need or scope for communication with the main city for day-to-day activities by the citizens living in nearby. So this should give all desired relief for growing congestion. And therefore it is not just sufficient to have the development of the big cities, but other cities around that city must also get their due share. And at the end, I would say that Nagpur is the third largest city in the state of Maharashtra, second capital of the state geographical center of India, and near about accounts for 6.5% of the total urban population of the state. And Nagpur has been the main center of commerce in the state and is important trading location. So the city is also home to various food manufacturing units, and therefore this city requires the special model of development where we have forest. At the same time, we want to develop the irrigation facilities. So as far as the challenge is concerned, we want that how to have the balance between environment, forest department, and providing irrigation facilities. The last point is relating to the number of vehicles. As pointed out earlier, it was 14 lakh some 68,000 vehicles in 2025. We are thinking about 2050, and there is going to be more than 4 lakh vehicles, and therefore there is a need to have the proper planning as far as the parking of vehicle is concerned. And as Chandigarh did it, I suggest that vehicles should be given to the people, those who are having parking facilities first at their home. Then only vehicles should be given on the basis of the availability of parking facilities. There are number of other things which I was thinking regarding the solutions and other things, but I feel my time is over, so I will stop here. But I must thank President Saab Sanjay Pathak ji for giving me an opportunity to provide some of the views relating to the development of the Nagpur city. and the challenges which we are facing over a period of time. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Sir, you are on mute.
It's already 7:10, so we have 50 minutes and we have finished only 3 speakers. So I would request all the speakers to speak for about 5 to 6 minutes so that we can have more time for the question and answers. I think the slide is displayed, so you can start. Sri Pratap, you can start your presentation. Uh, Keep slide for few minutes so the participant can read his biodata. So we'll be saving on the time.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Thank you. First of all, I would like to thank the organizers for having invited me to this webinar to discuss the development challenges of Vidarbha. I wish to make some specific suggestions as to what should be done to ensure an economically strong, livable, inclusive, and resilient Nagpur. Sir, I think this is the only city in the world where the airport expansion, uh, a small airport is getting expanded into a major international airport, and that is happening within the municipal limits of the city. I have not heard of.
Hitachi, you can remove the slide now.
Yeah, that is one. And this is maybe the only city where there are two major power plants just on the boundary of the city, and another big power plant is coming up now. So when we talk of how to make the city livable, more livable, my first suggestion is that we need to have more green cover so that we can have more carbon sequestration, and we need to allot adequate space for this green cover. That is, I think, very important. Secondly, the power plants, I mean, this is about the whole of Vidarbha. These power plants generate a lot of pollution in the form of fly ash, which is not getting utilized. So what is happening here is that these power plants, which are almost in Nagpur city, they have ash ponds which get filled up, and then the ash ponds get overflowed, and the ash flows into the river, Kanan River. And from there, the ash goes down to Kamti pumping station for the Nagpur municipal pumping station for potable water supply. And the whole of North Nagpur is getting this contaminated water, contaminated with fly ash, which is very toxic and carcinogenic. So we need to remove these power plants from the vicinity of Nagpur city, and these power plants, in fact, should be spread out evenly throughout Maharashtra, because the entire bad effects, ill effects of pollution due to power plants, the sufferers are from people from Vidarbha region. So that is second suggestion. The third is there needs to be a major policy change in promoting the electrical vehicles. So what is happening now is you have more and more electrical vehicles in Mumbai, Pune, and they want to have a pollution-free city. They don't want diesel pollution, petrol pollution. But all these vehicles are being powered by thermal energy. Now that thermal energy power plants are located in Vidarbha. So the more vehicles you have, these electrical vehicles, the more power generation will happen in Vidarbha, and we have to suffer more. So this disparity needs to be taken care of, and a major policy initiative needs to be done here. Another suggestion is that there is a rating mechanism, rating system for green buildings. You have the Indian Green Building Council and various green building councils in various countries. On similar lines, we should also have a rating system for the city. This green rating. So how green the city is, we should have some kind of a rating system, and we should have the objective or a target to achieve zero emission carbon footprint for any city for that matter. So how far we will be able to achieve is a different story, but at least we can start measuring the amount of emissions we are generating, and what kind of remedial measures we can have. Now coming to the issue of inclusiveness. See, as per my knowledge, more than 70% population of Nagpur, the families are living on an income level of less than 25,000 rupees. So when we say we want to have a economically strong city, the people also need to be economically strong. So what is happening now is that we have a special economic zone in Nagpur, which is known as Mihan Economic Zone. And that Mihan Economic Zone is a multi-purpose special economic zone, but somehow it has not picked up. The kind of employment generation which was envisaged or which was projected, that has not happened. So it has more or less failed, but some measures need to be taken to attract investment and to attract companies to come here, because employment generation is very important. Most of the educated youth of this city is migrating to Bangalore, Pune, Mumbai, abroad to find jobs. So there is a dearth of employment potential in Nagpur. This is my personal observation. So something needs to be done on this front. Now, as far as the smart city is concerned, there was a smart city project, I think, which has more or less failed and it is not being pursued further. The final observation which Nagpur Municipal Corporation made while concluding on that project was that there isn't enough paying capacity to pay the user charges as far as the majority of the population of Nagpur is concerned. And I have seen that all these public squares, all the intersections have big towers, and they wanted to have free Wi-Fi or Wi-Fi with a concessional charge for the entire city. So that activity has never taken off. Whatever money was spent on installing cameras or some beautification. And I mean, what I mean to say is, unless the people of the city have adequate income, they won't be able to pay user charges. Now, if you want to create any new facility, there are three ways to do it. One is you have your own revenue. The second is that you borrow funds from the market or from international banks like ADB or World Bank. And the third is you have PPP mode. Now, while doing this, we need to really take into consideration what is the paying capacity of the people. So what has happened in the past few years is that the micro and small enterprises have almost been on a downslide.
Sir, sorry, please try to conclude in 2 minutes. Thank you.
Okay. So my suggestion is that we need to have more income generating activities. We need to develop industrial clusters for products like oranges, cotton, bamboo, and fisheries. And these industrial clusters then can have economies of scale, and we can. What I mean to say is, unless we have adequate income for the overall population, talking of a economically strong city will not be possible. So these are my few suggestions, and since the time is short, I would like to conclude. One last suggestion is that whatever public land is available in the city, it should not be given to private players, and it should be utilized by the government agencies or the government itself for the development of the city. And at the end of the day, decisions are taken by elected representatives. So a few educated, experienced, and well-meaning citizens of Nagpur, and maybe some people from this group, should participate in the oncoming elections and get elected to the house, so that our standpoint, our views can be presented, and we can then have more participation in the development of the city. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. I will request
Sir, Sanjay sir, just half a minute. I've been taking notes, and some remarkably good suggestions are coming in this discussion.
Yeah.
What my request is, Pradyumna sir, I know we should somehow take responsibility to put these suggestions together. I personally feel if I were to kind of, I've already taken care of some 20, 30 suggestions. And please see to it that, in the next 15 days or 2 weeks' time, we submit a small paper to authorities that here are 30 suggestions coming from this webinar series, which require to be considered, because some of them are very brilliant ideas that are coming through. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Madam, you can start.
Start. Thank you. Very good evening. Thank you for bringing Nagpur on the roadmap, because we have been actually the second capital, yes, but somehow Nagpur misses the mark every time. Now, you have spoken about ensuring Nagpur is an economically strong place. Definitely, but selected strong. We have a section of society which is becoming economically strong, and at the whims and fancies of them, our city is definitely going into the pockets of those economically strong people, which is a big force, a section that is. Livable, I would say no. Today we cannot call it a livable city because, like the last 50 years or 25 years and the coming 25 or 50 years, if you see post COVID and pre COVID, and if you talk of climate change, Nagpur used to be a very beautiful city. Unfortunately, development, as Dada said, Vikas, has hampered everything here. Post COVID, I am seeing a lot of change, a lot of policy change that has come in. And today I cannot call it a livable city. But yes, because we are born and bred and brought up here, we still love the Nagpur that is. कर्मभूमि जन्मभूमि है, इसीलिए हम सब अभी भी नागपुर से बहुत प्यार करते हैं. Inclusive and resilient. I wouldn't say inclusive at all because people like us are not included in the decision making ever. कितना भी अच्छा सजेशन हम लोग दें या सिटी के हित में भी हो तो भी हमको लिया नहीं जाता है because thinking that we are anti development people, whereas we are the ones who want sustainable and holistic development for the city for the coming 50 years. That is how you plan. From my domain, if I talk about waste management and the planning of a city, I would say now is the time because we are already on the verge of extinction. Land, water, and air pollution has been hitting us badly. Nagpur is in the list of non-attainment cities. Last 7 years we have been on that list, but yet we have not seen any policy change. If you ask me today, the planning for waste has to be there right from inception itself. When a person talks about building a home or building a society or any infrastructure for that matter, even government, you need to have a section where planning for waste management is mandatory. We have very good policies in place, but implementation of that is not there. The user fee that is to be taken, like someone just said, is not included. We are not allowed to be charged the user fee, which is mandatory again for waste management. If you ask me for all types of waste, there is a proper system. We do not need to follow the Indore pattern because every city is different. It has its own characteristics, and that is how you need to plan. Inclusive of people, inclusive of mandatory sanctions, it has to come in. If you ask me, a city of, sir just said 45 lakh population, we are still on that 1200 metric tons of waste. Waste has increased over the years tenfold, but yet we only talk of that 1200 tons, the system where our dump site, which has now gone to a very bad state and which is not increased because there is no land available there. If you see, there is all bastis, big plots, buildings which have come up. So the planning itself, at as of now, we should have had a dump site already, an alternate dump site where we could have put in all this weight. Decentralized system, which we all talk about, a decentralized management is only on paper. You do not see it anywhere inclusive in the policy. Another very major thing is the inclusion of the informal sector, the waste pickers, which are a big part of this waste management system. If we could have actually included them in the formal system, we could have had a very good waste collection and transportation and even the treatment system. But unfortunately, that still is not there. Now, if I talk about Nagpur transition from the waste to energy facilities or the composting or biomethanization or whichever facilities, last 6 to 8 years, we have only been talking about that. Even now, if you go to see, each type of waste treatment or facilities are still a far cry away. We have no doubt, we have signed contracts, we have given very good amounts, but the main problem lies with the contract. Our contract even today is only on weight basis. So why would anyone want to go on decentralized or outsourced segregation? The collector definitely doesn't want that. So for that, we actually need to first work on the contract. We have been pursuing it, but like I said, we are not included. We have been giving many suggestions, inclusive of organizations, people planning for waste. Now, when you talk of a resilient city, we get shocks every alternate day. We were declared a bin-free city without inclusion of people. It should have been a phasing out for the city where people yet get used to actually not using the bins on the roads or wherever public places, wherever you go. But one fine day, it was just declared a bin-free city, and we all had to adhere to that without knowing what to do if you visit a public place or the streets. So the streets became dustbins. The roads were all littered with streets, with waste, and unfortunately, the animal menace which came in also became tenfold. Now, since we are in the non-attainment city list, burning of garbage is a major issue. There have been n number of orders, but burning of garbage continues and continues at a major level, not only by the citizens, but even by the administration and the people working, the Safai Karmacharis, because there is no proper system. Now we have n number of gardens, we have a lot of leaf litter, we have a lot of dry waste, we have started recycling stores. We in fact had a waste management park at Needy, which we, our NGO, had made over there, but unfortunately it was shut down for the general public. Now awareness, the IEC activities, if you talk about that, there is a major chunk in the policy and the funds that come in. The Swachh Bharat mission that was started about in 2014, that also today is a far cry away because it's a failure. You see everything in the Swachh Sarvekshan, I have been a part of it, but unfortunately everything looks good on paper. What we need to do is, if you really need to have solutions, you need to chalk out a plan where the citizens are mainly included, being the biggest stakeholders and the biggest waste generators. My waste has to be my responsibility first. To take in a decentralized system for waste, we really need to plan it accordingly with the administration involving all stakeholders, inclusion of the informal waste sector, inclusion of organizations and the citizens, and the administration and policymakers. Now, my second part of this is, like I had spoken about, it was the campaigns or the PILs that we do. What happens is when we try to address a few issues or we really try to go and talk to the policymakers, nobody is interested in taking our solutions because they feel that we are going to prove a hindrance to all this. So what happens is that when we do not get results or we do not get answers, then finally we have to take to campaigns because the common man does not know the policy. So our role is a facilitation between the common man and the administration, where we bring in these policies and these issues to the people in ways of campaigns.
Please
Finally,
try to conclude in 2 minutes. Thank
yes,
you.
sir, I will. Thank you. So that is the facilitation we do with the problems and the solutions by making a roadmap or bringing in a social media awareness and adhering to the IC activities, which there is a lot of fund for. The main last thing that I would like to say is the PILs. When we talk of public interest litigation, today I would very proudly like to say that we have addressed many issues. Finally, we have to take to that resort because it is the judiciary and the courts which are giving it relief finally. Unfortunately, today our judiciary has become like a complaint box because, like both the sirs said, 3 years down the lane, we still do not have elections. There is no elected representatives. And मुझे अगर आप पूछोगे, मैं हिंदी में इसका बहुत हार्ड हिटिंग जवाब दूंगी, गुंडागर्दी का विकास जो शुरू है कुछ चंद लोगों की वजह से, उसकी वजह से सिटी जो है सिर्फ नागपुर नहीं तो हर शहर में आप देखें अर्बन फ्लडिंग या हीट आइलैंड इफेक्ट जिसको हम बोलते हैं, वो सब जगह हमको दिख रहा है क्योंकि पीपल इंक्लूसिव प्लानिंग नहीं है। और अगर प्लानिंग है तो उसकी अमल बजावनी कहीं नहीं दिख रही है हमको। तो वेस्ट के बारे में अगर मैं बात करूं, ट्रीज के बारे में अगर मैं बात करूं, वेटलैंड्स के बारे में अगर मैं बात करूं या फॉरेस्ट के बारे में बात करूं, तो जल, जंगल, जमीन, तीनों तरफ से जो पोल्यूशन है that is reaching our homes. It has already reached our homes. We are on the verge of extinction. So if I talk of 2050, it is too far away. So we need to plan right now for the coming 5 years first, where waste is included in the policy, where our policy is such that it is citizen centric and development is for the people, common people, not the selected few. Other things that I would like to address is the main thing, drainage and sewage map or plan of our city and the city development plan, which expired long back. It is because of those missing also that we do not have a proper roadmap for our city. Abhi now, after 2001, they are making a city development plan, which is way too, way back, because we already have missed out on a lot. जैसे आपको बताया गया, सारी चीजों में हमको सॉल्यूशंस जो है पीपल सेंट्रिक ढूंढने हैं, और जब तक लोगों का सहभाग नहीं होगा, तब तक हम कोई भी पॉलिसी में सक्सेसफुल आने वाले 50 साल में भी नहीं हो सकते. So inclusive, we have to be strong, we are, and resilient, we will definitely be. Thank you so much for inviting us.
Thank you, madam. The next speaker, Srimati Prachi.
So, hello everyone and good evening. Thank you, Kirti Shah ji, Sandeep Pathak ji, Pradyumna ji, and my co-panelists. So, today I will be talking about our city's environment and the biodiversity. Is there any place for it in the city environment? हर एक सिटी का अपना एक कैरेक्टर होता है और वो कैरेक्टर एक हिस्टोरिकल एस्पेक्ट से डिराइव्ड रहता है. तो आई वुड लाइक टू से दैट ये कैरेक्टर को बचाते हुए अगर कुछ विकास उसके इर्द गिर्द होता है तो लोग उससे हैबिचुअल भी होते हैं, वो उसमें जेल भी हो जाते हैं प्रॉपरली. एंड एक जैसे पुणे का हम एक एग्जांपल देते हैं, पाठक जी बड़े प्राउडली बता रहे थे कि विद्येचं माहेरघर, लाइक होम ऑफ एजुकेशन काइंड ऑफ थिंग. वैसे ही वो नाटक का भी है जहां से बहुत अच्छा थिएटर चालू हुआ वगैरह. तो नागपुर अब देखा जाए तो एक गोंड लोग यहाँ इर्द गिर्द थे, यहाँ पे बहुत अच्छा ऐसा एक हिस्टोरिक जो बोला जाए तो जो जंगल है आजू बाजू में, और लोग बड़े ही खुले दिल के मिलनसार ऐसे हैं. तो हमें अभी जो ये अर्बनाइजेशन के चलते ये सारा सिटी का जो फेस बदलने की बात चलती है तो लोग सहम जाते हैं और समझ में नहीं आता कि इसी को डेवलपमेंट कहते हैं क्या. तो यहाँ पे बहुत अच्छा ग्रीन कवर हुआ करता था नागपुर में, जैसे अनुजी भी बता रहे थे. और ये ग्रीन कवर सडनली ये पिछले 10-15 सालों में लगभग 33% गायब हो गया है. और जब ये ग्रीन कवर खत्म हो जाता है बहुत सारे रिसोर्सेस कम होने लगते हैं और लोग इससे जो अटैच थे, हमारे त्योहार इससे जो जुड़े हुए थे वो भी हम भूलने लगते हैं. तो हमारी बेसिकली संस्कृति ही हम खोने लगते हैं. तो ये कैसे हुआ, ये सिस्टमेटिकली कैसे हुआ? तो ये अर्बनाइजेशन के चलते ये जो सारे लेआउट्स को सैंक्शनिंग देना है, हमारे वेटलैंड्स को डिस्ट्रॉय करना है और हमारे ग्रीन पैचेस में वो जैसे अनयूज लैंड है ऐसे समझ के वहां पे जो अलग अलग सो कॉल्ड डेवलपमेंट आने लगे. तो इसके चलते ये जो हो रहा है, तो अभी लड़ाई तो यही है, जैसे अनु भी बता रही थी कि पीआईएल जो फाइल हो रहे हैं, जो भी काम हो रहे हैं, तो ये सभी को बचाने के लिए हो रहा है. तो हमारा तो सजेशन यही रहेगा कि ये जो ग्रीन कवर है ये हेरिटेज है, हमारा नेचुरल हेरिटेज है. और ये बहुत ही डाइवर्स और देखा जाए तो सेंट्रल इंडिया के फॉरेस्ट को रिप्रेजेंट करने वाला यहाँ पे ग्रीन कवर हमने, हमारा जो सर्वेस होते हैं उससे हमें पता चला. तो ये अगर कंजर्व होता है तो हमारे यहाँ का जो हीट आइलैंड वाला इफेक्ट है, जैसे नागपुर एक बहुत ही हॉट प्रदेश है, आप सभी को पता होगा कि यहाँ का टेम्परेचर के लिए ये बहुत जाना जाता है, सुप्रसिद्ध है कि नागपुर, अरे बाप रे आप नागपुर में कैसे रह लेते हो, ऐसे लोग पूछते हैं. तो ये बहुत लिवेबल था, बहुत अच्छा था. हमारे बचपन में हमारे घरों घरों में कूलर्स नहीं लगते थे, मैं जब छोटे थे कूलर्स नहीं थे. तो अभी तो घर घर में एसी, और एसी के चलते फिर से ग्रीन हाउस गैस का इफेक्ट, फिर से वही टेम्परेचर राइज. और हमारा सिटी अभी ऐसा हो गया है कि 9-10 महीने गर्म ही रहता है, वो ठंडा होता ही नहीं, चाहे रेनी सीजन रहे चाहे विंटर सीजन रहे. और हम इसमें अभी एडॉप्ट भी कैसे करेंगे कि ये चेंजेस जो है बहुत रैपिडली हो रहे हैं और वी डोंट नो हाउ टू कोप अप विथ इट. तो इसके चलते फिर अभी कैरिंग कैपेसिटी के बारे में हमें सोचना ही पड़ेगा कि हर सिटी का कैरिंग कैपेसिटी कितना है, ना कि आपको पावर ऑफ ये जो सेंटर है ये बनाने के लिए आप ये सिटीज को ऐसे सुझा नहीं सकते हो. ये जो आर्टिफिशियल स्वेलिंग है, तो ये हम इसको कितना बढ़ावा देंगे और ये हम इसको और भी क्या बोल सकते हैं, बीमार कर रहे हैं ये सारे सिस्टम को. जैसे प्रद्युम्न जी बता रहे थे कि हमारे यहाँ वाटर बॉडीज गिनी चुनी 10-11 थी, उसमें से सिर्फ 3 जो है वो अभी लिविंग हमारे यहाँ लेक्स है, बाकी पॉन्ड बन चुके हैं जहाँ पे आप कुछ भी नहीं कर सकते अदर देन एंटरटेनमेंट. वहां पे और कुछ भी नहीं हो सकता, एंटरटेनमेंट भी अभी नहीं हो सकता, कुछ कुछ तो सूख गए हैं. तो क्या हम ये हेरिटेज के बारे में बहुत ही सकारात्मक तरीके से सोच सकते हैं? क्या ये जो नेचुरल फ्री का एंटरटेनमेंट है, क्या ये हमारा हक नहीं है सिटीजन्स का, या सिर्फ हम कंट्रीब्यूट ही करते रहे ये विकास में और सिर्फ सफरर रहे इसमें? तो हमारा जो जैसे एक फुटाड़ा लेक का बहुत ही यूनिक ऐसा एक केस है कि कैसे डिस्ट्रॉय किया वो लेक को, और लोग बहुत एंजॉय करते थे वहां जाना, वो वहां की ब्यूटी वो एंजॉय करते थे। तो क्या हम ये हेरिटेज जो नेचुरल हेरिटेज है उसके बारे में बहुत पॉजिटिवली सोचते हुए इसके इर्द गिर्द क्या हम लोगों को रहने के लायक एनवायरनमेंट क्रिएट कर सकते हैं क्या? जो हमारे नेचुरल स्पेसेस है, जैसे पंजाबराव कृषि विद्यापीठ ने हमारा फार्म लैंड जो यहाँ पे ब्रिटिशर्स ने बचाए रखे थे, क्या वो ओपन स्पेसेस को हम वैसे ही बरकरार रख सकते हैं क्या? उसका बहुत यूनिक वे से भी हम
Hey
इस्तेमाल
Sudha,
कर सकते हैं, लाइक
hey Sudha.
विलास जी, हाँ,
Sorry.
इट्स ओके। तो जैसे वो रिसर्च के लिए हम रख सकते हैं, और ऐसी एक सिटी हो सकती है जहाँ फार्म को लेके बहुत, फार्मिंग में बहुत अच्छा रिसर्च हो सकता है, जहाँ पे बहुत एक्सपेरिमेंट्स हो सकते हैं, और एक अच्छी यूनिवर्सिटी यहाँ पे बन सकती है। हर बार विकास यानी इंडस्ट्रीज, ये जो हमारे दिमाग में है, और इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर नेचुरली बहुत सारे मॉल्स खोलना, बहुत ज्यादा इंडस्ट्रीज लाना यानी विकास नहीं होता। ये तो पुणे में भी दिख रहा है हमें कि वहां लोग परेशान है, वहां की जो इंडस्ट्रीज है वो वहां से निकल रही है, बाहर जा रही है। तो हमें ऐसा विकास हमारे सिटी के लिए नहीं चाहिए। तो हम और हर बार इसका ओनस सिटीजन्स पे डाला जाता है कि आप घर से कचरा सेग्रीगेट करो, आप ठीक से रूल्स फॉलो करो, आपका सिविक सेंस अच्छा होना चाहिए, लेकिन पॉलिसी लेवल पे इस पे कुछ हो रहा है क्या? तो हमारी ये डिमांड है कि आप पॉलिसी लेवल से इसका स्ट्रिक्ट इम्प्लीमेंटेशन, पब्लिक पार्टिसिपेशन में अगर वो कुछ सजेशंस दे रहे हैं तो उसका भी इम्प्लीमेंटेशन, ये सारा ही यूनिक वे से होना चाहिए। अगर ये होता है तो कोई भी सिटी हम बहुत शांति से वहां पे रह सकते हैं। और एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट चीज जो हो रही है वो ये है कि लैंड यूज चेंज हो रहा है। तो जैसे नागपुर जैसे सिटी की मैंने स्टार्टिंग में बात की कि यहाँ आजू बाजू बहुत ग्रीन कवर था, हम फॉरेस्ट से सराउंड, ऐसा एक ये सिटी है सराउंडेड बाय फॉरेस्ट। और यहाँ पे अभी क्या हो रहा है कि ये एक्सपांड जब हो रही है तो ये एक्सपांशन के चलते लैंड यूज चेंज हो रहा है। और आप लोगों को पता ही होगा, आप सारे ही लोग काफी वेल एजुकेटेड है, लेकिन सॉइल ऑर्गेनिक कार्बन, जो कार्बन होल्ड करने की सॉइल की कैपेसिटी है उतनी पेड़ की भी नहीं होती है, 4 टाइम्स मोर कैपेबल ऑफ स्टोरिंग CO2। और ये कार्बन जब लैंड यूज चेंज होता है तो रिलीज हो जाता है एटमॉस्फेयर में, और इसके चलते ग्रीन हाउस गैस का जो इफेक्ट है वो मल्टीप्लाई होता है, इट अफेक्ट्स मेनी फोल्ड। तो ये जो है इसकी तरफ कौन ध्यान देगा, और ये हमें सच में जरूरी है क्या? ये किसने पूछा और किसको पूछ के ये सारी चीजें हो रही है? क्योंकि सिटीजन्स तो नहीं चाहते हैं कि ऐसा विकास हो। पहले हमारे बोलते थे कि अरे घर से निकलो तो 1 किलोमीटर पे जंगल।
Please try to finish in 2 minutes.
या सो
Thank you.
हम ऐसे डेवलपमेंट नहीं चाहते हैं। एंड व्हाट एल्स, ओके, ट्री जो हमारा एग्जिस्टिंग ग्रीन कवर है उसको लेके भी मुझे बोलना था कि ट्री सेंसस जो होना चाहिए पीरियडिकली, वो डेटा पब्लिक में भी अवेलेबल होना चाहिए। हमारा रिचनेस क्या है, उसमें क्या स्पीशीज है, और वो कैसे इस्तेमाल ये करते हैं, बेनिफिट करते हैं कोई भी सिटी के इकोसिस्टम को, ये प्रॉपर डॉक्यूमेंट होना चाहिए, पीरियडिकली होना चाहिए, और इसमें सिटीजन्स का इन्वॉल्वमेंट होना चाहिए। तो इसके चलते हम कुछ चीजें सिटी में करते हैं, क्योंकि सबसे मेजर उपभोक्ता सिटी में होते हैं। जैसे देशपांडे सर भी बोल रहे थे कि 33% जनता अभी अर्बनाइज्ड है, मेरे हिसाब से तो 50% तक पहुंच गई है। तो ये उपभोक्ता तो जरूर है, लेकिन क्या खा रहे हैं, क्या सांस ले रहे हैं, क्या पानी पी रहे हैं, उसके बारे में बिल्कुल अवेयरनेस नहीं है, हमारे एजुकेशन में नहीं है। तो इसके लिए चलते हम नागपुर में जैसे बीजोत्सव लेते हैं, नेटिव सीड्स को लेके फेस्टिवल सेलिब्रेट करते हैं, और लोग उसमें आते हैं और बहुत नया कुछ सीख के और इंटरेक्ट करके जाते हैं। तो ऐसे जो होते हैं फेस्टिवल सिर्फ ज्यादा हो, इसके लिए भी इंकरेजमेंट सिटीजन्स को मिलनी चाहिए, ऐसा मुझे लगता है। और बाकी तो बहुत सारी चीजें एक अच्छे अर्बन यानी सेटलमेंट के लिए, जैसे अच्छा पानी है, ये है, और जो हम नहीं प्रोड्यूस करते, हम किसी से लेते हैं और पोल्यूट करके डाउनस्ट्रीम छोड़ देते हैं। तो इसके लिए बहुत स्ट्रिक्ट डिसेंट्रलाइजेशन का पॉलिसीज होना चाहिए, क्योंकि ये जो कहीं तो सेंट्रलाइज कर देते हैं और वो वर्क नहीं करता, पॉसिबल ही नहीं है क्योंकि वो वर्क करना। तो इसके चलते काफी सजेशंस है, बहुत सालों से दिए जा रहे हैं, उसके ऊपर बस इम्प्लीमेंटेशन की जरूरत है। सो थैंक यू ऑल।
Thank you, madam. Next speaker, Sri Vilas. Yes, sir, please.
सभी साथी को जिंदाबाद। और खास करके नागपुर के नियोजन के बारे में और प्लानिंग के बारे में जो बातचीत हो रही, मैं बहुत ही आप सभी को शुक्रगुजार करता हूँ और धन्यवाद देता हूँ। खास करके नागपुर शहर 0 माइल है नागपुर शहर में, और ये पूरे भारत का मध्य बिंदु है। और इससे नागपुर बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण शहर है देश का। और इस शहर के बारे में खास करके बताया जाए तो 1980 में जो नागपुर शहर का शहर था और आज के शहर में काफी बड़ा अंतर पड़ा है। और उस वक्त की जो बातें थी कि 1 लाख के ऊपर पायडल रिक्शा था अभी तो भी गुजारा होता है। और लेकिन आज वो रिक्शा पूरा खत्म हो गया, पायडल रिक्शा। और दूसरी बात, सिटी बस भी उस वक्त काफी थी, तो वाहतूक की व्यवस्था लोगों की काफी अच्छी थी। आज पूरी वाहतूक व्यवस्था में जो सिटी बस है वो काफी उसमें चेंजेस आ गए, लेकिन बस से लोगों का जाना आना बहुत कम होते जा रहा है, और उसके साथ मेट्रो भी आ रही। नागपुर शहर में 2 बड़ी कपड़े की गिरनियां थी और उससे रोजगार काफी होता था। और शहर में गिरने के अलावा हाथमाग बहुत चलता था नागपुर शहर में। इसलिए नागपुर की साड़ी जो 9 वारी जो साड़ी होती है वो बहुत फेमस होती है। और विकास के दृष्टि से वो जो जिस कम्युनिटी में वो साड़ी बनती थी वो उसमें काफी गुजारा होता था और नए इससे ये होते थे। और उसके अलावा 2 MIDC थी नागपुर में, एक उपलवाड़ी और हिंगना MIDC थी। और इस MIDC से लोगों का जो श्रमिक है, जो गांव से आते हैं, खास करके स्थलांतरित होते हैं नागपुर शहर में, उनके लिए MIDC तो एक रोजगार मिलता है। दूसरी बात ये कि पहले नागपुर शहर में कंस्ट्रक्शन लेबर और घरेलू वर्कर जो काम करने वाले उनका ये ज्यादा होता था। और उससे साथ साथ जो ग्रामीण का गांव का जो स्थलांतरण हुआ वो दलित आदिवासी समूह का हुआ। और उस समूह का जब स्थलांतरण हुआ तो नागपुर शहर में जो असंगठित श्रमिकों की जो लोक संख्या है, संख्या बढ़ी। और उस माध्यम से नागपुर शहर में 450 झोपड़पट्टियां उस वक्त 80 के दशक में थी। और 80 के दशक में जो 450 झुग्गी झोपड़ी का जो मसला था, खास करके एक तो उनके नागरिक सुविधा का बहुत प्रॉब्लम था और समस्या थी। और उनको नागरिक सुविधा ये करने, एक तो खास करके शौचालय की व्यवस्था नहीं, रास्ते नहीं, पानी की सुविधा नहीं, और बाकी जो सुविधा थी वो इस वजह से नहीं मिल पा रही थी। तो इससे एक ये सारी झुग्गी झोपड़ियां रहने के बाद और झोपड़पट्टी का असुरक्षित और ये सब वातावरण होने के बाद भी नागपुर शहर एक बहुत अलग शहर था। और खास करके जिंदा शहर उस वक्त मैं बोलूंगा कि जिंदा शहर था। आज इतना मेट्रो आया, सीमेंट रोड भी आया, तो भी उतना जिंदापन अभी शहर में नहीं दिखाई देता है। तो जो स्थलांतरित जो लोग हुए हैं, ये स्थलांतरित लोगों के रहने के जो सुविधा है, खास करके झुग्गी झोपड़ी का जो प्लान था महानगर पालिका और नागपुर सुधार प्रन्यास ने, जो अपनी EWS बस्तियां बनाई है नागपुर सुधार प्रन्यास ने, और महानगर पालिका नागरिक सुविधा देती, लेकिन उनके सुविधा देने का जो नियोजन था वो मुझे लगता कि बहुत ही नियोजन में तफावत थी। और इस वजह से नागपुर शहर में झुग्गी झोपड़ी का पट्टे मिलने का जो आज 2024 में 2025 में पट्टे मिलने का जो अभियान चला रही सरकार, वो मुझे लगता है कि ये 80 के दशक की बात है। उस वक्त ही नागपुर शहर का नियोजन किया रहता बढ़िया, तो मुझे लगता है कि ये काम काफी हुआ रहता। दूसरी बात ये है कि जो 1964 में महानगर पालिका ने पूरे 100 साल नागपुर शहर के बारे में एक रिपोर्ट बनाया था, और उसमें जो प्लानिंग था, ये प्लानिंग बहुत ही अच्छा था, और उस दृष्टि से उन्होंने कुछ बातें भी रखी थी, ट्रैफिक के बारे में रखी थी, और खास करके साइकिल और गाड़ी घोड़ा की जो बात थी, उसका जो नियोजन था वो काफी अच्छा था। और दूसरी बात ये है कि अभी ये हाउसिंग के बारे में अभी नागपुर और महाराष्ट्र के हाउसिंग के बारे में सरकार पॉलिसी बना रही, लेकिन वो पॉलिसी में ये जो असंगठित श्रमिक है या जो डैम अफेक्टेड पीपल है जो नागपुर शहर में आते हैं, उनके बारे में, उनकी गृह निर्माण की समस्या, उनके बस्ती में पानी की समस्या, उनके बस्ती में अस्वच्छता की जो समस्या है, उस बारे में, और आरोग्य और हेल्थ और एजुकेशन की जो समस्या है, उसके बारे में मुझे लगता है कि बहुत सारा नियोजन करने में शासन कमजोर दिखती है, और महानगर पालिका भी दिखती है। जो अभी शहर इतना बढ़ रहा है कि 32 लाख पॉपुलेशन नागपुर की होने के बाद शहरी सार्वजनिक वाहतूक के बारे में बड़े पैमाने पे मुझे लगता है कि नीति उनकी दिखाई नहीं दे रही, क्योंकि साइकिल और पैदल जो चलने वाले लोग हैं वो रास्ते से बाहर जा रहे हैं, और उसका नियोजन कहीं पे भी उसका देखते हुए ये नियोजन मुझे लगता है कि बहुत गड़बड़जनक है। तो इस बारे में शासन ने डेमोक्रेटिक रास्ते कैसे बने और सबको उस रास्ते पे अवसर कैसा प्राप्त हो, उस बारे में बात करना चाहिए। समनेट एक नेटवर्क है देश का, उन्होंने इस बारे में कुछ अभ्यास किया था, और इस पर हमने कुछ डोमेस्टिक वर्कर के साथ, जो डोमेस्टिक वर्कर साइकिल से जाते हैं, उनको रास्ते में कैसे जाए और उनको रास्ता कैसा खुला मिले, इस बारे में एक स्टडी किया था, और काफी उसका शहरी जो वाहतूक है उस पर एक चर्चा हुई थी।
विलास जी कृपया अगले 2 मिनट में खत्म कीजिए।
हाँ, और
2 मिनट
पर पर्यावरण के बारे में प्राची जी ने बताया था, और इससे ये क्या हो गया कि नागपुर शहर में जो फेरी वाले हैं, उस फेरी वाले के बारे में कोई अच्छा नियोजन और नहीं दिखता, क्योंकि जहाँ हाथ ठेले ये उठा के लेके जाते हैं, लेकिन उनको कोई जगह दे, उनको कहीं ये करे, उस बारे में मुझे लगता है कि कोई दृष्टि से महानगर पालिका सोचती नहीं। तो ये एक बात है। दूसरी, मैं आखिरी में एक बात बताना चाहूंगा कि जो मोहल्ले, जो वार्ड है, उस वार्ड के लिए सरकार ने कुछ प्लानिंग प्राधिकरण बनाना चाहिए कि बस्ती का कैसा प्लान हो, बस्ती लेवल पर, वार्ड लेवल पर, कि वार्ड लेवल पर एक तो रास्ता, और अभी भी नागपुर शहर में अभी भी बहुत सारे बस्तियों में रास्ते नहीं है, इलेक्ट्रिक नहीं है, पानी की सुविधा नहीं, शौचालय की गटर लाइन नहीं है। तो उस बारे में व्यवस्था कैसी हो, इसके लिए एक मोहल्ला नियोजन प्राधिकरण सरकार ने या महानगर पालिका ने बनाया, तो मुझे लगता है कि उसमें काफी काम करने की एक अवसर प्राप्त होगा, और उससे एक अच्छा नियोजन भी हो सकता है कि नागपुर शहर विकास के बारे में। दो बातें कि असंगठित श्रमिक, जो 93% असंगठित श्रमिक है, और 93% असंगठित श्रमिकों के बस्ती के बारे में, उनके हाउसिंग के बारे में, उनको नागरिक सुविधा देने के बारे में सही मायने में सोचना चाहिए, ऐसा मुझे लगता है। और इस दृष्टि से प्लानिंग शहर का होना चाहिए, यही मेरी कामना है। धन्यवाद।
धन्यवाद। नेक्स्ट स्पीकर श्री वैभव जी।
नमस्कार, मेरा नाम वैभव है, और मेरी कंपनी है वंडरग्रास इनिशिएटिव। हम लोग एक्चुअली बैम्बू और मिट्टी के घर बनाते हैं। तो आज के संदर्भ में मेरे पास 2 आइडियाज़ है जो मैं शेयर करना चाहता हूँ। एक तो मुझे लगता है कि गोइंग फॉरवर्ड हर एक सिटी का, जैसे प्रताप जी ने भी कहा कि अपना एक कार्बन फुटप्रिंट होने वाला होता, वैसे भी होता है, लेकिन गोइंग फॉरवर्ड वो कार्बन फुटप्रिंट बढ़ते जाने वाला है। तो इस सिटी के जो मेट्रो एरियाज है उसमें वी शुड allocate a certain percentage of land which is probably either a wasteland or the land which is degraded for the bamboo plantation, so that can act as a carbon sink for the city. So approximately, let's say नागपुर की आज population 4 million है, तो we should look at planting about 4 lakh poles in the metro region. दूसरा पॉइंट मेरा यह है कि हमारे बिल्ट एनवायरनमेंट जो है सिटी के, वो बहुत मोनोटोनस होते जा रहे हैं। यानी कोई भी सिटी को अपना बिल्ट इन कैरेक्टर नहीं है अभी, कि वो मैं कोई सिटी में जाऊं और बोलूं कि हाँ ये नागपुर है, ये पुणे है, ये बैंगलोर है, ये हैदराबाद है, क्योंकि हमारा जो बिल्डिंग मटेरियल पैलेट है वो बहुत लिमिटेड हो गया है, आरसीसी, ब्रिक और एल्यूमिनियम। सो हमको वो पैलेट को बढ़ाना चाहिए। द पैलेट शुड इंक्लूड सम सस्टेनेबल बिल्डिंग मटेरियल्स, बेसिकली बैम्बू या टिम्बर और इस तरह के। So why I was saying about the carbon sink with bamboo plantation, so that the same bamboo can be actually used in the cities to create add to the built environment, especially in Nagpur जैसे शहर में, जहाँ पे because of the climatic conditions the rooftops get extremely hot. So वो rooftops can be covered using very lightweight, nice looking bamboo structures that can add to the built environment, character of the built environment, as well as set of the your heating effect. ये दो आइडियाज है अभी के लिए मेरे पास। थैंक यू।
Terrific. Thank you.
Next speaker, Sri Nitin ji.
Thank you, Sanjay ji. Thank you, Kirti bhai and INHAF for inviting me to this important conversation. Actually, matlab, as I work with the house people and the community for the housing and informal labor rights, I just want to bring those voices into this discussion, because when we talk about development, I feel we must ask development for whom? I mean, because for often our imagination is quite different. Like, we always talk about the Nagpur is shaped by infrastructure projects, real estate growth, and maybe those mobility corridors which are being on the paper. I also feel that lived realities of the working poor or maybe of the urban poor communities are remain largely ignored. So एक तरफ हम बोल रहे हैं कि नागपुर बढ़ तो रहा है, ग्रो भी हो रहा है, बट उसके साथ क्या सिटीजन्स ग्रो हो रहे हैं, क्या वहाँ के लोग उस ग्रो की परिभाषा में है क्या, विजिबल है क्या? तो एज राइटली पॉइंटेड आउट बाय मैनी ऑफ आवर स्पीकर्स regarding there is a sense of no participation of the people in the various processes. Participation नहीं है, चाहे वो फिर वो बस्ती वासियों का हो या इनफॉर्मल सेक्टर में लेबर्स लोगों का हो। तो मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि मतलब सिंस नागपुर अगर बढ़ रहा है, उसके चैलेंजेस डिफर होते जा रहे हैं। मतलब हम बोल रहे हैं कि बस्तियाँ तो है, बस्ती के साथ साथ बेसिक सर्विसेज भी, जैसे सर ने बताया कि वाटर सैनिटेशन और बाकी सारी चीज़ों का इशू लार्जर लेवल पे है। बट हमें ये भी समझना होगा कि ये सेटलमेंट्स अभी के सेटलमेंट्स नहीं है, इनको भी ये हो गया है 10, 20, 30, 40 साल, एंड येट दे रिमेन इलीगल इन द आइज ऑफ प्लानिंग अथॉरिटीज। तो हमें आई मीन जब सिक्योर टेन्योर नहीं होगा तो ऑब्वियसली वो कॉन्स्टेंट थ्रेट जो रहता है इविक्शन का वो हमेशा रहेगा, और वो कम्युनिटी जो है वो इन्वेस्ट नहीं कर पाएगी बेटर हाउसिंग को लेके, या फिर बाकी वेलफेयर स्कीम्स जो है उसको लेके एक्सेस नहीं कर पाएगी। तो मुझे लगता है कि दीज आर द सिचुएशंस तो है हमारे पास, बट देयर आर ऑल्सो पॉलिसी इन प्लेस वेयर इन गवर्नमेंट अगर बोल रही है कि हम पट्टा दे रहे हैं या पट्टा देने वाले हैं, या पट्टा का प्रोसेस जो नागपुर में चल रहा है, इट इज नाइस, बट वो बहुत स्लोली प्रोग्रेस कर रहा है। सिमिलरली अगर हम लोग बात करें स्लम रेगुलराइजेशन की इन द कॉन्टेक्स्ट ऑफ नागपुर, गवर्नमेंट का रेजोल्यूशन है 2019 का कि प्रायर टू 2011 जो भी बस्तियां बसी है उनको हम स्लम नोटिफाइड करेंगे, बट स्टिल दैट प्रोसेस इज स्टिल वेरी स्लो इन द इमेजिनेशन ऑफ द गवर्नमेंट। मतलब मुझे नहीं लगता कि उतना सीरियसली उसको सोचते भी है करने के लिए। जैसे कि अभी हम लोग अर्बन प्लानिंग की भी बात कर रहे थे, बहुत सारे स्पीकर्स ने ऑलरेडी कवर किया है कि डेवलपमेंट प्लान जो है, डेट ऑफ इंटेंट इज आउट एंड द सिटी का इमेजिनेशन ऑलरेडी प्लान किया जा रहा है अगले 20 सालों के लिए। तो सो माय क्वेश्चन इज, वेयर आर द अर्बन पुअर्स इन दोज इमेजिनेशन इन द डेवलपमेंट प्लान प्रोसेसेस? आर दे रियली पार्टिसिपेटिंग इन द डेवलपमेंट प्रोसेस में? क्या वो जा रहे हैं लोगों के पास और बात कर रहे हैं कि डेवलपमेंट प्लान में क्या होना चाहिए आपके लिए? आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट स्पेसिफिकली अबाउट द अर्बन पुअर कम्युनिटीज एंड द पीपल हु आर कमिंग फ्रॉम इनफॉर्मल लेबर्स। सो उनका इमेजिनेशन अर्बन प्लानिंग में किस तरीके का पार्टिसिपेशन है या नहीं है? मतलब बिकॉज व्हाट आई फील इज, अगर इमेजिनेशन अभी चल रहा है, तो इमेजिनेशन अगर है तो फिर वो पेपर में मतलब किस तरीके से डेवलपमेंट प्लान में अगर वो बात कर रहे हैं, रीच आउट हो रहे कि नहीं हो रहे? बिकॉज मुझे नहीं लगता कि सिटी ओनली कैन बिकम इंक्लूसिव एंड इक्विटेबल व्हेन इट लीव्स आउट द वेरी पीपल who build and serve it. We need to ask this kind of a questions to the authorities, maybe to among ourselves, कि because ये इतना technocratic है, इतना technical है कि people like us also don't get into the urban planning के processes में। I think मुझे लगता है कि वो भी एक बहुत ज़्यादा important aspect है। लाइवलीहुड के बारे में थोड़ा टच अपॉन करूंगा, क्योंकि स्ट्रीट वेंडर्स के बारे में बात किया गया है। स्ट्रीट वेंडर्स 2014 एक एक्ट है स्ट्रीट वेंडर्स के लिए। सिटीज में, खासकर नागपुर में, दे आर कंटिन्यू टू फेस एविक्शन विदाउट नोटिस। सिमिलरली डोमेस्टिक वर्कर्स की हम लोग बात करें, कोई कॉम्प्रहेंसिव उनके लिए कोई एक्ट नहीं बना है जिसके लिए ऑल द नेटवर्क्स विच आर द पार्ट ऑफ महाराष्ट्र डोमेस्टिक वर्कर्स घरेलू कामगार समन्वय समिति आर वर्किंग टूवर्ड्स इट। तो वो सारे इश्यूज को भी हमें, मुझे लगता है कि ध्यान में रखेंगे तो ही मुझे लगता है कि वो चीज़ें आगे बढ़ेगी। मेरे ख्याल से वे फॉरवर्ड क्या होना चाहिए कि अर्बन प्लानिंग हम किस तरीके से देख रहे हैं, उसको हम कितना पीपल पार्टिसिपेटिव बना सकते हैं? क्या कुछ हमारे पास उसमें पुअर का एंगेजमेंट हम लोग किस तरीके से कर पाएंगे? अगर टेन्योर सिक्योरिटी की बात कर रहे हैं तो स्लम रेगुलराइजेशन हम किस तरीके से उस प्रोसेस को और फेयर और ट्रांसपेरेंट बना सकते हैं? क्या लाइवलीहुड की बात मैंने अभी की कि अगर स्ट्रीट वेंडर्स एक्ट है तो उसको हम किस तरीके से हम आगे लेके जाएंगे? क्योंकि ऑलरेडी दिस एक्ट इज अ वेरी ब्यूटीफुल एक्ट, बट द इम्प्लीमेंटेशन स्टिल इज नॉट ऑन द ग्राउंड। हम लोग हमेशा से ये सारी चीज़ें बात करते हुए आ रहे हैं। हम क्या प्रायोरिटाइज करना चाह रहे हैं बेसिक सर्विसेज को लेके और अर्बन रेजिलियंस को लेके? आई थिंक दीज आर द मोस्ट कंट्रीब्यूटिंग क्वेश्चन जो हमें, मुझे लगता है कि एज अ पीपल, एज अ नागपुर के रेसिडेंट्स या सिटीजन्स हमें बात करना चाहिए। मुझे लगता है कि अगर अर्बन पुअर ही विजिबल है, वो इमेजिनेशन में नहीं है अगर सिटी के, चाहे फिर वो प्लानर के हो, चाहे फिर वो अथॉरिटीज़ के हो, चाहे फिर वो किसी और के हो, तो अगर उनका इंक्लूसिव उनको अगर हम मतलब अगर शहर को बनाने में अगर हम उनका पार्टिसिपेशन नहीं देख रहे हैं, तो फिर हम किस प्रकार की इंक्लूसिविटी या लिवेबिलिटी की हम लोग बात कर रहे हैं? एंड कमिंग टू द क्लाइमेट पार्ट ऑल्सो, दे आर द लीस्ट कॉन्ट्रीब्यूटर्स टू दिस पॉल्यूशन। जो भी हम लोग बात करते हैं, स्ट्रीट वेंडर्स की बात कर लीजिए, कंस्ट्रक्शन वर्कर्स की बात कर लीजिए, दे आर द लीस्ट कॉन्ट्रीब्यूटर्स टू द क्लाइमेट की चीज़ों के लेके। ऑफन दे आर लिविंग इन दिस स्लम्स, जो उनके लिए ही खतरा का कारण बना हुआ है, क्योंकि सबसे पहले अगर कोई इम्पैक्ट होगा तो बस्तियाँ ही इम्पैक्ट होगी। बाकी क्योंकि उनके पास टूल्स नहीं है शायद वो बचने के लिए। बाकी सारे शायद मिडिल क्लास, अपर क्लास के पास टूल्स है, शायद वो बच सकते हैं वो सारे इससे, लेकिन उनके पास मिटिगेशन और एडेप्टेशन का ऐसा कुछ टूल्स ना होने के कारण वो एक बड़ा इशूज नागपुर में है। तो नागपुर का जो हम लोग बात कर रहे हैं कि क्या होना चाहिए, क्या नहीं होना चाहिए, आई थिंक दीज आर द एस्पेक्ट्स वी नीड टू लुक आफ्टर। कि स्लम्स को अगर हम, बस्तियों की अगर हम लोग बात कर रहे हैं, तो कैसे रेगुलराइज कर सकते हैं, कैसे एफेटेबिलिटी एंड एक्सेसिबिलिटी की भी बात कर सकते हैं, हमारा लैंड प्रोविजन किस तरीके से हो सकता है सोशल हाउसिंग के लिए डेवलपमेंट प्लान में। ये सारे मुद्दे जो है आई थिंक रिकरिंग होंगे, और आगे आने वाले अगर 50 साल की बात कर रहे हैं, सिटी विल डेफिनेटली ग्रो, अभी से ही ग्रो कर रहा है। तो आई थिंक दीज आर द चैलेंजेस वी हैव टू लुक आफ्टर। आई मीन देयर आर सर्टेन प्रोविजंस अवेलेबल इन टर्म्स ऑफ पॉलिसी, बट कुछ उसका इम्प्लीमेंटेशन लार्ज लेवल पर उतना तगड़ा नहीं है, या फिर जो उसका फॉर्म है वो या तो जीआर के फॉर्म में है, नॉट इन द फॉर्म ऑफ एक्ट ऑल्सो। सो दीज आर द थिंग्स विच आई वॉन्ट टू रिफ्लेक्ट एंड टेल कि if there is no if there is no participation from the urban poor, then we don't think we are thinking about the cities which can be livable, और जिसकी हम लोग बात कर रहे हैं 2050 में जो होना चाहिए। या आई थिंक मोस्ट ऑफ द एस्पेक्ट स्मार्ट सिटीज़ के बारे में भी बात किया था ऑलरेडी काफ़ी स्पीकर्स ने। मैं ज़्यादा रिपीट नहीं करना चाहूँगा वो सारी बातों को, लेकिन स्मार्ट सिटी का जो डेफिनेशन इज लार्जली अगेन कहीं पे भी, आई विल कंक्लूड इन 2 minutes। स्मार्ट सिटी का जो भी डेफिनेशन है वो तो लार्जली कहीं पे भी है नहीं हमारे पास, मतलब उसका कोई स्टैटिक डेफिनेशन है नहीं। सबके डेफिनेशंस अलग अलग है, बट अगेन स्मार्ट सिटी भी जो बना उसमें भी पुअर का इमेजिनेशन कहीं नहीं रहा, अर्बन पुअर का इमेजिनेशन कहीं नहीं रहा, तो वो एक एसपीवी के थ्रू रन किया गया और एक इलीट इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर डेवलप करने की कोशिश में वो चार्जेस वगैरह बढ़ने लगे। ऑल्सो द स्कीम्स विच आर कमिंग अप लाइक PMAY है या पट्टा है, तो स्टेट और पीपल्स के एस्पिरेशंस है वो भी काफ़ी डिफर करते हैं। स्टेट कुछ और दे रहा है और लोगों के एस्पिरेशंस को है, वो मिसमैच भी काफ़ी हम लोग देख सकते हैं इन टर्म्स ऑफ जो भी स्कीम्स या पॉलिसीज आ रही है। तो आई थिंक आई एम डन। आई जस्ट वांटेड टू कंक्लूड दिस कि अगर हमें करना है नागपुर को थिंकिंग अबाउट द सिटी एज 2050 के लिए अगर हमें सोचना है, तो आई थिंक वो अर्बन पुअर का इमेजिनेशन और लेबर का इमेजिनेशन सिटी के डेवलपमेंट में होना चाहिए। थैंक यू सो मच।
Thank you very much. It was a wonderful presentation by all the speakers, very useful, like Sir said. I think individual speakers can send suggestions in a few paras, one page. We can compile it and we can circulate it, and so that we can submit to the government as Sir has said. Miss. We have about 10 to 15 minutes time maximum for question and answers.
Sanjay Sahab,
Yeah.
can I disturb you for 1 minute?
Yeah, sure.
Sanjay Sahab, I have a very important meeting at 8:30, and I think I have to leave in another 5 minutes. So if you allow me 1 minute, I will do 2 of my tasks.
Okay.
One task is to tell. I'm obviously, I must tell you, I'm very impressed with this webinar. Honestly, I had no expectation of this kind. And believe me, I personally feel this particular meeting has generated a large number of very good ideas. So my request is, Sanjay Saab, slightly different than yours. What I suggest is this, that like the Pradyumna sir, I think has taken a leadership, and I think who else could take a leadership? I suggest that let us produce just what I would like to call it 50 ideas to improve Nagpur soon. And believe me, 50 ideas have come. We don't have to describe them. We just have, and I think, and we would say 50 ideas from the webinar on 5th August. These are the ideas that come. Believe me, you would never seen such a document come out of a city ever.
Yeah.
So, Pradyumna Saab, do you think you and others can take this responsibility, sir?
Surely we also have Shyam who very
No, Shyam Saab, I'm just not giving names and all that sort of
very
stuff.
competently does this kind of thing. So,
Yeah. So that was one thing.
actually,
To give a proper 50-point suggestion for Nagpur
yeah, together we'll do this.
on different
Yeah.
aspects that we all
That's
talk about.
Yeah, we'll take
It's a good idea. Yeah.
so that
And what we will do, sir, is this, that we would see that it reaches your chief minister, that it reaches other people who reaches your very important minister in Delhi, so that this and I'm not pretending. Believe me, the ideas that have been generated are remarkable for what they are, and so that is the whole thing that I wanted to say. The second thing is this: my other responsibility is to thank all of you, and I would want to do that because I'm so impressed and I'm so happy that I want to do this with each one's name. If you allow me, it will take half a minute, but I want to do this. So thank you, Sanjay Saab, for accepting my invitation to moderate
Thank you,
it.
sir.
Thank you, Shyam Saab. A terrific presentation, and I'm very impressed. Pradyumna Saab, I'm not going to leave you ever, and want to kind of get work out of you. And my next assignment for you is this 50 ideas from Nagpur conclave. Vinayak Saab, you've been brilliant. You brought in some very interesting ideas. Your economic and the professional experience has spoke very well. and thank you very much for the ideas that came up. Pratap Saab, I have not heard him before, and I didn't know about you, but you brought in some tremendously interesting ideas. And I know once they really appear in the list, they will look terrific. Anasuya ji, you are a fighter, and I'm very impressed that I met and saw you. So is Prachi ji. विलास साहब, मैं आपको बताना चाहता था कि मैं अहमदाबाद में एक बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग स्टडी कर रहा हूँ, साइकिल इन द सिटी। तो उसके बारे में आपसे बात करनी है। मैं आपको फोन करूंगा और समझना थी कि आपने क्या किया। मैं ये बता रहा हूँ, आई एम नॉट लुकिंग एट planners city for cycle. I'm looking at cyclist cycle for city for cycle. लोग तो इतने सारे लोग साइकिल चलाते हैं, they're not worried about, I think, dedicated corridors. They know that they have to do it, and how do we city make this? Vaibhav, I'm very impressed that you brought in these two ideas, the terrific ideas. And Nitin, I always had huge hope from you, and I think it was terrific. So I'm going to walk out, sir, if you don't mind. Please continue. My colleague Chitrakshi is there, and thank you again. I'll write to each one of you, and it was absolutely stunning. It's one of the best webinars I have had, which is essentially a people's webinar, because you selected yourself and you did terrific presentation. So thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Good night. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Kirti sir,
Ji.
for doing this, we'll need the recording of this.
Yeah.
But tomorrow evening, if you want, recording will reach you, no issue at all. No issue at all. And Chitrakshi will manage all that. Huh? I'm sorry I have to leave because I have
And one more thing, there
a
are
very important meeting.
which may be missed out by people. So can we add that?
No, I'm in any case planning a second webinar, and I'll get in touch with you.
That plus those who are here actually I took a lot of time, but still actually I have a short of time.
No, करेंगे.
So everybody.
If you want, I'll take the same group again and do the second webinar. I'm absolutely prepared. So मुझे बताना, same group, same 9 people, and we'll do it again. I will do it again. Sorry, let me leave. I think I'm sorry. Huh?
Thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Good night.
Chalo.
We'll
Good
close
night.
it.
So I think we can take questions from the audience. Chitrakshi, can you?
The audience nice hai.
So should I tell? Should I?
There are some questions in the chat box, no?
Yes, sir.
They are present, the audience.
Yes, sir.
You can read.
Yes, sir. What collaborative models can we adopt to protect Nagpur's ecological and heritage assets in a way that balances conservation with equitable public access and community stewardship?
Anyone who would like to answer that question? Architect Pradyumna, sir.
Okay.
Ah.
See, would you like to take it after that?
Heritage part.
The heritage of any city actually comes in two parts. One is man-made heritage, obviously, which is called as heritage or recognized as heritage, but all the natural assets of the city are essentially a very important part of our heritage, and we cannot change it. I was the person who was in charge of making this list of natural heritage precincts, and there was no precinct or there was Nag River in it, which was removed actually subsequently as if it is not a part of our heritage. So, which is a very peculiar thing that the government did, but still none of these heritage precincts were less than A grade, because you can't say that some hill is B grade or some water body is B grade. They're all A grade, have to be. Also, they are a part of the commons. They are not, they don't belong to anybody. But what is happening, just as Pratap also mentioned, whatever is part of the commons, whatever belongs to the people as a whole, is appropriated by these forces that I was talking about, and then appropriated for private gain. That is a problem. Very beautiful gardens, the public gardens, now you cannot go into the gardens because it is sold to some organizers. Ambadari Garden, maybe outside Nagpur also people will be knowing about Telenkhedi Garden, Ambadari Garden, places like that, Putala Embankment. Now it is all privatized and ticketed or just forbidden for the citizens. So, as far as natural heritage is concerned, it is very much part of your city's culture and your city's image. And without that, the city does not have any image. Actually, most of its so-called image is actually in those places. So that is one aspect. And what was the
How
other
to
thing?
conserve and protect.
See, to conserve and protect, we formed a committee. We formed the Heritage Committee under the through the High Court's intervention in the Nagpur Municipal Corporation, and we prepared regulations for that. But the interpretation of the regulations was left to the committee, which would come in subsequently to interpret the regulations. And if those people, and they did this, if those people decide that heritage can be obliterated, it can be built over, it can be changed, it can be destroyed, then there is nothing much that one can do, because it's the people who have been given the power, they are themselves actually destroying the heritage. So the municipal corporation, the politician, the heritage committee, together they do this. So very difficult, because we did it with very, very good intentions, and we did it much before any of the cities except Mumbai in Maharashtra did it. And now it is applicable to the whole of Maharashtra, but everywhere the same thing is there. All the natural heritage is being obliterated, and or it is also being privatized. Whatever is good belongs to some vested political person or somebody. That is the problem. It's a loot actually. It is happening.
I would like to add one point in this, whatever Pradyumna Dada said, कि ये जो हमारा नेचुरल हेरिटेज है, दिस शुड बी द माइक्रोकॉस्म ऑफ द सराउंडिंग इकोसिस्टम. जैसे नागपुर अगर सेंट्रल इंडिया का पार्ट है और ये सराउंडेड बाय जंगल है, तो वही रिफ्लेक्ट करता है नागपुर के ग्रीन कवर पे. तो जो भी इस टाइप का प्लांटेशन हो रहा है, वो उसका रिफ्लेक्शन होना चाहिए, ना कि हम कुछ ऐसे इन्वेजिव फॉरेन स्पीशीज यहाँ पे लगा दिए और बोल दिया कि हमने ग्रीनिंग कर दिया. तो ये इससे तो कुछ हमारा जो फेस है, जो हिस्टोरिक यहाँ की इमेज है, वो तो बनी नहीं रहेगी. और वही है कि पीपल के हाथ में ये होना चाहिए, पब्लिक का होना चाहिए, ये सब जो भी हमारे नेचुरल स्पेसेस है और जो अभी प्राइवेटाइज हो रहे हैं. तो मुझे लगता है कि इस तरह से हमारा हिस्टोरिक एंड नेचुरल स्पेसेस अप्रिशिएट किए जाएंगे लोगों से, और वो बचे रहेंगे.
Unmute.
Please unmute yourself.
Yeah. Chitrakshi, next question, please. Chitrakshi?
If we want Nagpur to be a better city by 2050, what is the one thing we must start doing together right now?
Implementation.
Together right now, if I can answer this, would be people's participation, inclusion. That we have some very good policies which are in place, but at the inception and planning itself, if we have people's participation, because they are the biggest stakeholders, we can definitely address all these issues right now also. We are still not that gone. We can still improve and do things.
Yeah, and I would like to add to that.
Implementation of policies.
Yes, I would like to add and say that actually people need to organize themselves and actually form or get enough force through their organization to challenge the people who are actually attacking and destroying our city. That is what we need to do. Unless we do that, they will not stop. And basically, it is essential to stop them. That is a big problem. That is, they are the problem. We have to stop them.
Okay. Next question.
How can urban design or architecture help make people feel more connected to nature in the city so they value and protect it? How do we include people who feel left out or powerless, like slum communities or the youth, in shaping Nagpur's green future?
These are two different.
They are two, actually.
So Nagpur
Yeah.
in future, we have actually discussed a little bit, but whether it should be left to any urban designers or architects to do this, I'm not so sure about that. Most of these people who are in the doing things in the official capacity are actually ruining the city. So I think it is the common people. It is non-professional people also have to come forward, and they have to speak. Like Nitin spoke today, what is to be expected, because unless you include the poor and all those, and I'm sure even Pathak sir will understand, we never learned as architects and urban designers to really look at poor people as our so-called clients or people for whom we will be working. That is a big problem, because I never knew until I started working as to how to make a jhopadi out of a mud thing. And it's never taught. And in fact, it is something which cannot be built also today, because we won't find people to do it. Very ironical. Thousands of years we had done that. And we have survived, our civilization has survived on the basis of the kind of development that we had done, the kind of non-polluting and development which goes back to the ground without polluting. That is the definition of our architecture. And in our architectural school, that definition is never taught. We are told to build something which cannot last more than 50 years. So if I take people for the heritage walk, I stress on this fact. These 250, 300 years old structures, we have progressed so much that we cannot make them anymore. We cannot make something which will last 250 years, because we have started using materials which will deteriorate and which will actually destroy our country and our civilization. That is the problem.
Okay.
I want to make
Nitin,
a
you want to?
Yeah, I just
Nitin, you
want
want to add something? Yeah.
Yeah, correct. I want to add to this question, like wherein the participant asked about the how do we include people who feel left out, like slum communities or the youth in shaping Nagpur's green future. मुझे लगता है कि ये जो क्लाइमेट का जो नैरेटिव या डिस्कोर्स जो चल रहा है, इट्स मोर ऑफ लाइक मिडल क्लास अपर क्लास ये इनिशिएटिव्स को ज़्यादा रन कर रहे हैं क्लाइमेट के सारे मुद्दों को लेके। सिंस ये जो तबका है स्लम कम्युनिटीज़ की हम लोग जो बात कर रहे हैं, इसमें जो इन्फॉर्मल सेक्टर के लोग ज़्यादा रहते हैं, ये जैसे मैंने पहले ही बताया कि ये बहुत कम कंट्रीब्यूट करते हैं ये लार्जर क्लाइमेट के की चीज़ों को लेके, मतलब ज़्यादा उनका सही नहीं, मतलब उनका कंट्रीब्यूशन नहीं है। तो हम उनको डेफिनेटली इंक्लूड कर सकते हैं कि अगर उनको हम किस तरीके से एक प्लेटफॉर्म दे सकते हैं, या हम लोग सब लोग मिलकर किस तरीके से काम कर सकते हैं जिसमें उनको भी मिला लेके आए और उनको भी बताए कि ये जो ग्रीन फ्यूचर या ग्रीन नागपुर की जो हम लोग बात कर रहे हैं, वो केवल एक इंडिविजुअल के लिए नहीं, ये पूरे शहर के लिए किस तरीके से इंपॉर्टेंट है। आई थिंक वो जो डिस्कशन या अवेयरनेस जो आई थिंक स्लम कम्युनिटीज तक जाना चाहिए या वहाँ की यूथ के पास जाना चाहिए, आई थिंक वो उस लेवल तक आई थिंक पहुंच नहीं रहा है, या उसको पहुंचने की जरूरत है, मुझे ऐसा लगता है। इवन दो देयर आर मेनी यूथ्स हु आर फ्रॉम द कम्युनिटीज इटसेल्फ हु आर कंट्रीब्यूटिंग टू मेनी इनिशिएटिव्स इन द सिटी इटसेल्फ, बट मुझे लगता है कि एक लार्जर उसका डीप डाउन होना चाहिए, ताकि ये मुद्दा जो है केवल एक इंडिविजुअल या एक क्लास का नहीं, बल्कि एक पूरे शहर वासियों का मिलके होना चाहिए, ताकि एक ग्रीन फ्यूचर का इमेजिनेशन हम शहर के मतलब नागपुर के लिए कर सकें।
Yes, sir. I want to make one quick point. You see, the government claims that in the past few years they have spent 1 lakh crore rupees on development of Nagpur. Now, what they have done with that, they have made bridges, cement roads, flyovers, metro, rail, and other infrastructure development they have done. My suggestion is that you should have balanced development. Out of this 1 lakh crores, had they spent 10,000 crores on NMC schools and 10,000 crores on NMC hospitals, we would have been in a better city. That would have ensured inclusiveness of the poor, and it would have given them some buffer. Their standard of living would have gone up, and also the cost of living would have gone down for them. So we need a balanced development plan for the city.
Another point I would like to add is that any project or anything that is planned for the city never comes in the public domain before for people to, be included or suggestions to be given. It is always when the project is at implementation stage or the fund has come in, there is no feasibility report or there is no need-based report actually. What is it that a city needs or the people need? So all these things need to come out transparently from the government is something that the urban planners and architects could address at their levels.
Yeah, and what Nitin was saying, actually, I had to add to that. There is an example, live example of that. When the floods came or some things happened, immediate reaction of many of the people was that it was because of the slum dwellers who are living in the basins of the river or banks of rivers, and they should be evicted. And there were some officials and there were some judges also who were saying कि नहीं नहीं पहले उनको eviction करो. And they were also saying कि sewage का जो problem है, it is because of them. So very very peculiar people these. But see, the point is जो सीवेज में जो पानी जा रहा है वो जो जज वर्डिक्ट देता है उसके भी टॉयलेट का वहीं पे पानी जा रहा है, तो उसके टॉयलेट को रिमूव करने की कोई बात नहीं कर रहा है. जो कमिश्नर बोल रहा है उसका भी पानी वहीं पे जा रहा है. इनफैक्ट जो इसके लिए बैठता है बाजू में उसका पानी नहीं जाता है क्योंकि उसके पास पानी ही नहीं है जाने के लिए. तो इट्स ए वेरी 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 imbalanced kind of thinking also, which is happening at the so-called upper levels. So all of this needs to be tackled very strongly. Actually, it has to be tackled very strongly. You can't simply अभी ये मैं तो जब बार बार ये बोलता हूँ कि अब इनके पीछे रह के उनका शर्ट खींचने के लिए उनके कॉलर पकड़ने की जरूरत होती है, तो ये करना पड़ेगा.
I think we can take a last question. We can take a last question before 8:30. Chitashi, any question?
Yes, sir. How Nagpur ensure economic development and check drain? How it can ensure quality human capital, healthcare for people and marginalized, and children friendly city? How metro rail can become a lifeline for a city?
Now, that is the biggest challenge being faced by the country. I work for micro and small and medium enterprises. So what has happened is, of late, these micro and small enterprises, they are not being encouraged by the government. The government has a very different policy of encouraging large corporates, and even the productivity linked incentives, they are available for the large industry. So in order, now we are a part of the global value chain, unless we are globally competitive, unless the micro and small industry is globally competitive, we cannot survive. So there is a cluster model which the government is trying to implement, but it is very challenging to develop an industrial cluster. I am working in that area. So developing industrial clusters for micro and small enterprises, like in Nagpur and around Nagpur, you can have clusters for textiles, garments, for gems and jewelry, for furniture, such products, and also food processing clusters. And these clusters can become competitive because they have a lot of support from the government in terms of grants and in terms of the economies of scale which can be built through this cluster. So I think we need to pay more attention to the small and micro industries clusters. And also, like we have these projects like Mihan SEZ, where IT sector that should be promoted, encouraged, and this is the responsibility of the politicians, and especially the politicians in power to bring the IT sector to SEZ. After having such big leaders, such prominent leaders from Nagpur, if we are not able to do so, then when are we going to do it? So I think we should be after our politicians, and we should have a very strong pressure group, to persuade and to what do you call uh, make these politicians work for the betterment of the city and in whether accountable also. Thank
If I may address the point of children's child-friendly playgrounds and open spaces where land use change is being done, and it's going at such a rapid pace that all playgrounds are being given to private builders or for some project or the other. We are not left
under
with
Guntevari Act.
under the Guntevari Act. That's the biggest apathy that we have today here. So this land use change of playgrounds, gardens, and the open spaces, this needs to be stopped immediately. Only then can we have a future child-friendly city, because children have nowhere to play, go, and we don't know how to address. Like pressure group is definitely there, but yet the land use change continues because people are not aware of the rules or the objections that they can take.
Yeah, I want to make a point here regarding the child-friendly city. I think there is a clause, something called as बाल सभा होनी चाहिए वार्ड में. वो बाल सभा का इमेजिनेशन, मतलब हमारे चिल्ड्रन का इमेजिनेशन भी शहर को बनाने को लेके कहीं नहीं है. तो चिल्ड्रन भी इनविजिबल है, उनका भी डिसीजन मेकिंग में या पार्टिसिपेशन में कुछ भी से नहीं है. तो हाउ कैन वी थिंक अबाउट चिल्ड्रन फ्रेंडली सिटी जब बाल सभा जैसी चीज़ें या उनकी इमेजिनेशन को हम लोग मैनिफेस्ट नहीं कर पा रहे हैं पॉलिटिकल एजेंडा में या फिर सिटी के विजनिंग में. मुझे लगता है वो एक चीज़ है हमें देखने के लिए. एंड ऑल्सो समवन आस्क्ड अबाउट हाउ मेट्रो रेल कैन बिकम अ लाइफलाइन फॉर अ सिटी. मेरा सवाल यही है अगेन कि क्या हमें सच में नागपुर जैसे शहर को मेट्रो की ज़रूरत थी क्या, या फिर उसके अलावा क्या हम लोगों ने उतना 1,000 करोड़ जितना भी इन्वेस्ट किया है, क्या हमने लास्ट माइल कनेक्टिविटी पे ध्यान दिया जाता तो शायद वो लास्ट माइल कनेक्टिविटी के साथ साथ पब्लिक इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर जो है एक बेटर तरीके से कंट्रीब्यूट कर सकता था सिटी को. ये दिखाने वाली जो चीज़ें हैं कि हमारे शहर में भी मेट्रो आ गया है, बाकी शहरों में मेट्रो आ गया, इतने 1,000 करोड़ आ गए हैं, दैट इज अगेन एक मतलब बोलने वाली बात है कि विकास हो रहा है. बट एक्चुअल में देखा जाए ये कितना एक्सेसिबल है, कितना अफोर्डेबल है फॉर द ईडब्ल्यूएस कम्युनिटीज़ या फिर जो इनफॉर्मल सेक्टर के लोग हैं, अर्बन पुअर के लिए है. आई थिंक उस पर एक स्टडी हो सकता है कि वो कितना उनके लिए अफोर्डेबल है, कितना वो लोग खर्च कर पाते हैं कि नहीं कर पाते, या
लास्ट
कितना
पॉइंट मैं ऐड करूंगी मेट्रो का. सॉरी,
मेट्रो का मुझे भी करना है. आप पहले बोल लीजिए.
मेट्रो का जस्ट एक लास्ट ऐड करती हूँ. लाइफलाइन है कि नहीं, आज की तारीख में मेट्रो हमारी लाइफलाइन ऐसी बन गई है कि जितने प्राइम लैंड्स है, प्राइम प्रॉपर्टीज और प्राइम लोकेशंस आर ऑल बीइंग गिवन फ्री होल्ड टू मेट्रो. मतलब अगर वहाँ कॉलेज है, स्कूल है, कोई इंस्टीट्यूट है, यहाँ नागपुर के 20 से 22 जगह मेट्रो को फ्री होल्ड दिया जा रहा है, so that they can turn it into commercial or sell it or do whatever, because मेट्रो जो जिस प्रकार से बनाई गई थी उसका आज की तारीख में इंस्टॉलमेंट्स भी नहीं निकल रहे हैं. तो ये पूरा कमर्शियलाइज करके, एंड मेट्रो हैज बीन गिवन अ FSI. एवरी स्टेशन has been giving a FSI where they have about 12 to 15 floors that they can make as commercial. 1 lakh square feet which is underused. Yet they have been given these lands. और यहाँ पे बोलने वाला, this is the lifeline today metro has, कि हम इंस्टॉलमेंट ये सारे लैंड यूज चेंज करके मेट्रो को फ्री होल्ड देके बना रहे हैं.
सर ये मेट्रो का एक बताता हूँ मैं आपको, बड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग है. 3 डब्बे की मेट्रो है, चौथा डब्बा लगाया तो प्लेटफॉर्म के बाहर गाड़ी चली जाएगी. और दिल्ली बॉम्बे जितनी लंबी मेट्रो बनाई तो 2 स्टेशन के बीच का पूरा एरिया कवर हो जाएगा. ऐसी हमारी मेट्रो है.
लेकिन फिर भी 2050
नहीं
का
तो सिर्फ दिखा हुआ है. नहीं, एक लास्ट पॉइंट मेट्रो के बारे में. See, this metro was not there in the last development plan. It's totally illegal. Because if it is not in part of the development plan, suddenly you just because you bring 15,000 crore rupees, you just say कि नहीं बस मेरी इच्छा है हम कर देंगे. So that is how things are done in the city. तो ये कोई इलीगल चीजें इस तरह से नागपुर में बहुत ज्यादा हो रही है. मेट्रो इज द प्राइम एग्जांपल ऑफ दैट.
दिखने वाला विकास,
बस दिखाऊपना है, बस बाकी कुछ नहीं है उसमें. और ना कनेक्टिविटी है ना कोई उसके लिए, मतलब एक ऐसा गोल अपना शहर है और उसको ऐसे क्रॉस मार दिया हो गया मेट्रो, तो क्या फायदा है उसका. यूजलेस है एक्चुअली. बहुत.
Okay, I think next seminar can be on such topics. We can have. So thank you very much. I thank Kirti Shah sir for providing the opportunity to all of us to connect professionally. I thank individually to all the speakers for giving an excellent background about the development and giving the views. Like sir said, I think your group will continue to work and provide the material for the further submission to the government agencies by the sir. So thank you very much and good night. Thank you.
Thank you, Sanjay ji. Thank
Thank
you, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.